the sound of the popcorn popping. When I first saw this show, I kind of had flashes of P Rock's. His intro is the lighting of the bong, and that's all I can hear now every time. So with that, welcome everyone to CW Movie Night. I am your backup host tonight. We've got a backup Avenger tonight, Marco G. I've got a beautiful panel here tonight. Just really quickly want to shout out the typical hosts of this stream, Chris and Classy Thomas. Both couldn't be here tonight, but we're going to try to do them proud. Now, just right off the bat, for all the fans of this show, there is no way we could be as meticulous as Chris is. He plans with so much detail. We're going to be way more janky than that. We are just going to do our best, and we're going to interact with the chat and just let everyone know what our thoughts are. Right off the top, I just want to say we're going to do a full spoiler discussion. So, I contemplated doing no spoilers and then getting into spoilers, but it's kind of too hard with this film. I feel like it's hard to talk about it without spoiling things. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, please don't spoil it for yourself. Go out and see it, bookmark this, and watch this later. So with that, let me introduce the beautiful panel we have tonight. First up, we've got Dean the Dream. Dean, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just ate, so I'm ready to hang out with the boys, talk some Deadpool and Wolverine, and chill out on the stream.
Hell yeah! All right, all right. And don't let me forget to ask how everyone saw the film, because I think Dean had a unique experience on how he saw this. But Dean, thanks for joining, man. Next up, we've got my buddy, my Wolverine friend, Mike, the Sith Scale Collector. Mike, is this your first time on a stream?
This is my first stream, so yeah, thanks for having me.
Introduction.
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just finished my pre-stream cocktail, so kick off the nerves and yeah, ready to go. We've been talking about Wolverine for a while now, and I can't wait to get into it.
Heck yeah, man. Well, really appreciate you joining, and yeah, looking forward to talking lots of Wolverine and a little bit of
No doubt.
Deadpool as well. So, and last up, and certainly least, we've got big ol' Fern. Fern, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good. Glad to be back in the streams. It's been a while, but yeah, I'm ready to talk about the movie.
Heck yeah, man. We missed you, man. Really good to have you back. It had been too long since we seen you around. Well, all right.
Dean.
I tried to fake it, but Dean gave it away. No, it really is nice to have you back, Fern. And so appreciate everyone joining. So as I mentioned, let's talk about how everyone experienced. For me, that's a big part of watching a movie, right? Is how you see it the first time. It's all about like how the emotions that are going through you while you're watching it, the experience that you have. Are you watching it on an airplane, on your phone, versus on the largest screen possible? So I will start. I saw it Comic Con weekend in San Diego, but with some fellow collectors. Shout out Useby, shout out Cuervo, shout out Danny Lee. Lots of other folks were there. But we saw it at the Dolby, I think Dolby, what is it called? Just Dolby experience that is exclusive to AMC. Really awesome because they've got beautiful picture, beautiful sound. But we were the last row, the very last row. So at first I was joking. I was like, I could have just watched this on TV. But yeah, it was a cool experience, and I really enjoy the Dolby experience overall, and wish we had one here. But unfortunately, we do not. So Dean, with that, how did you experience this film?
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube, which is kind of crazy. Um, a buddy of mine had sent me a link on Twitter, and it turned out to be just a Rickroll. And I was like, damn, that sucks, because I just didn't want to go to a theater. After COVID, I'm kind of done with theaters. It's like I could
Yeah,
watch it
we
at
talked about
home.
that
Like,
theater anxiety and how
yeah,
obnoxious people are, and
yeah, just all kinds of stuff, right? That contribute to the I don't even want to leave my house. And so I was kind of bummed, but I opened YouTube and the movie was right there. Like literally first recommended video. And I was like, there's no shot. It's the whole movie. But I didn't want to get rickrolled again. So I clicked through at like 5 or 6 different parts, throughout the, runtime. And I was like, holy shit, this looks like it's the full movie. And it was like completely uninterrupted. Like I don't know. Did you click the link at all, Marco, to see the
I
quality?
did. I did. FBI don't get me, but get Fern instead. Yeah, I did actually, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is like 1080p quality. This is pretty
Yeah, it
good."
was like pretty good. There was a few like sound issues where like it would get blown out every once in a while, but not enough to like. It's not like I ever missed dialogue or like couldn't understand what they were saying. It was just a little blown out, but yeah, it was kind of wild. I was like, holy shit. So I had my headphones on. I was sitting in my big comfy chair, my projector, which is
I
like,
was gonna say you got your projector that you could blow it up to.
yeah, I have it. I literally have it like as big as I could get it. And it's like, I don't know, 200 something inches, like,
Wow, it's a lot of
yeah.
inches.
So it was like being in a theater, only I got to have my little puppy dog Kevin with me. So I had tons of fun. It was great.
That's kind of the best, honestly.
Yeah.
And we've got another panelist joining us, CM Chuck from the legendary Just Another Friday Night podcast. Chuck, how you doing?
Doing well, gentlemen. Sorry about the tardiness. Marco, thanks for kicking this off. And Dean, good to see you again. Fern, Mike, good to see you guys.
So, Chuck, I guess you'll be up next. How did you watch this film? How did you experience it? If you've seen it already.
Yeah, I saw it already. I went. So me and Double A, who do the Friday night podcast, we've been doing our best to try to avoid spoilers when stuff like this comes out. So we got to go to our local movie theater here on a Thursday night, a 7 o'clock show. Almost everything was sold out. Him and his wife went. We didn't even sit together. And then I went with my girlfriend, my dad, my sister, and my nephew. We got to sit together in the last row. Like we got like the last 5 seats together, and Double A and his wife got like 2 seats that were by themselves. But there was
You
maybe
bring your binoculars, bro,
3 seats left.
because that's how I was feeling.
You know what? Yeah, it was actually a pretty solid view from that top row.
Good,
My
good.
nephew prefers the back row because there's no people behind you. I guess he likes to
That's a good point. Yeah.
get that experience. Yeah, but yeah. So full house. So I thought that it'd be a lot more people. And sorry, I have the virtual background on because my girlfriend's in the room. But yeah,
Oh, good.
I thought that there'd be like more like end game / no way home moments where people kind of just popped and cheered for things since it was a full theater. I was expecting and
Yeah.
hoping for that. There were some moments, but nothing to the magnitude of those other two movies. So
A
yeah,
lot
we
of
saw it
casuals
Thursday.
then, huh?
I guess so. But overall, good experience. That theater is a nice theater on this side of town. It's not part of the big chains. It's kind of an independent, and so it was cool. The crowd wasn't rowdy and stuff like that or anything like that. So it was good. You know what I mean? I can't really say. We're just talking about how we saw it, right? And when.
Just it. That's it. Which is
Yeah.
riveting TV. I'm coming to find out. But no, Chuck, thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely,
So so next up, Mike. Mike, how'd you experience this movie?
Yeah, man. Kind of the same as Chuck did. Opening night, 10 p.m. show. Cinemark XD. It's a big screen, nice and loud. I usually go to these with a buddy of mine. We have a tradition going back 25 plus years where we try to go to the big movies opening night and see it. Back in the days when you actually used to have to wait out in line before them. So yeah, I wanted to make sure I saw it. I got a lot of love for the old Fox movies, so I didn't want to see any potential spoilers. I had to see it there first.
There you go. Get ahead of it for sure.
Yeah,
And that's awesome though that you've got a buddy that you can go with. That's such a cool tradition, honestly.
yeah, for sure.
So Fern, how'd you watch this movie? Did you do the YouTube route like Dean?
I know. I wish I would have, because I spent way too much damn money on everything.
On concessions?
Fucking yeah, going to the movies is so expensive now. But yeah, I watched it on Regal, just the Screen X. It might be similar to like the Dolby on AMC, but yeah, that's how I didn't watch it opening night. I think I watched it on Monday. So, because I don't know, I think ever since Endgame, I'm just like, I'm not. Or I think ever since COVID, I'm just like, I don't know about going to a theater with the you know whole place packed. So I'm like, I'll just wait for a little bit. And
Yeah.
when I went, it wasn't like super packed, but there was a good amount of people. And I went with a couple of cousins, and I mean, it was cool. It was cool. The having people laughing at the movie made it. actually like fun though. So I'm like
Yeah,
kind of glad I didn't like wait to watch it like by myself, because like
by
it's nice
yourself.
to
So
have.
you had a good audience though that was cheering and
Yeah,
laughing and
yeah, it was nice to have like other people, hearing other people, react to it and stuff like that.
yeah, it's definitely something you can't get at home. So that is one benefit, even though you do have to deal with people who can be hit or miss. So thanks all for sharing those experiences. I will just say, like, we did have a good amount of cheering, and I'm sure because it was like a pretty comic heavy crowd with Comic Con being there. So yeah, so like it was a very engaged crowd, but it was at 10 p.m. and I don't do late showings anymore. And I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep, and sure enough, and it's no issue with the quality of the film, but I did fall asleep towards the end. So might need y'all to clarify a few things for me. But with that, let me check in with the chat really quick. I think we've got a good amount of folks in here. We got Sam Gist. Sweet, I'm in. Sam, thanks for joining. We got Chris with Vintage Rebellion Podcast. Has got his popcorn ready, so we're trying to do you proud over here. Let's see, we got Toy Mafia. Toy Mafia wasn't first this time, though. You hate to see it. Let's see, we got the legend, Bob Dylan, saying, let's fucking go. Bob, thanks for joining. Random Korean. Good evening, guys. Short and sweet. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Bob is saying, oh, wow, we got Hawkeye instead of Cap. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm so sorry. That's generous, actually. What's below that? Yeah, but we'll do our best. We got Comics in the house with Swag. Comics, thanks for joining. Sam Gist saying, hey, good panel. Can't wait to hear your guys' take. We will get there, Sam. I promise. Let's see what else. Badfish is saying, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I have to watch the replay of this wonderful panel. Badfish, glad you're not going to spoil it for yourself. He's saying, welcome, Mike, to the first, I'm sure, of many CW shows. You love to see it. Heck yeah. We love to add a new family member here on the screen. We got X-Men Supreme, Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's get it. X-Men Supreme, thanks for joining. Sam Gist is saying, I personally don't understand the don't spoil thing. I saw this as far as I could, so it did not get spoiled. At what point is it on the viewer to watch before it? Anyways, is it on the viewer to watch it? It's tough though, Sam, right? Like life can get in the way. I think everyone intends to watch it, first thing, but it's hard to stay off of social media and see it right away. So, I'm one of those people that has to go to the theater, but I also don't have kids. So, I teach their own, I would say. Let's see. Vintage Rebellion saying, what the hell? I thought you meant they offered it for official rental day one. No, I mean, not official rental, but it definitely was a rental for sure. Let's see. We got Thomas saying, hey, what are you guys doing in my movie night? Thomas, again, we're trying not to desecrate the movie night. We'll try to make you proud. X-Men Supreme is saying, I was out of town on a job for the weekend. I spent all Thursday morning and early afternoon on the road and into the early evening building equipment. I saw the movie at 11:45 showing that night. Tell me if you fell asleep, because I would have no shot. Let's see what else. Jason Nelson in the house. Not sure I'll be on the whole show, but I saw two things about the movie. One, knew Evans was going to flame on, but portrayed initially as Cap. Yeah, that was a cool fake out. So we'll get to cameos here in just a second. Let's see who else we got in the house. We got John, the everyday collector. Hey, guys. John, we may have a homage to you in just a second. So with that, let me get to the synopsis of the movie. I think everyone knows at this point, but let me read a little bit. This is scary, guys. I did go to public school. Me reading more than one sentence is a scary endeavor, but stick with me here. So here's the plot. In 2018, Wade Wilson uses Cable's time-traveling device to cross from his native timeline of Earth. Let's see, it's 10,005 to Earth 616, the sacred timeline, where he meets Happy Hogan and unsuccessfully requests to join the Avengers. 6 years later, Wade has retired from being the masked mercenary known as Deadpool and is working as a used car salesman with his friend Peter Wisdom after breaking up with his girlfriend Vanessa. During his birthday party, the TVA captures Wade and brings him to Mr. Paradox, who offers him a place on Earth 616. However, Paradox also reveals that Wade's timeline is deteriorating as a result of the death of its stabilizing anchor being Logan. Paradox details his plans to use the Time Ripper, a device he developed to mercy kill timelines, to prematurely destroy Wade Wilson's timeline. Wade steals Paradox's tempad to escape and dig up Logan's grave. When he fails to resurrect Logan, Wade uses the Tempad to travel the multiverse and find a variant of Logan to save his timeline. All right, so Dean, let's just not bury the lead. We're going to get into the critical reception, but I want to know everyone on the panel, what'd you think of this movie, and what's your score?
Initial viewing.
And Dean, you are sounding a little low still. Just a little bit.
I'm
Better
I'm
now.
like
Better now.
fully torqued over
Just
here.
keep it in your mouth. Just keep it in your mouth, and we're good.
Oh. So, initial viewing, I was at like having fun watching the movie, like a 10 out of 10. And I had said this before, but I feel like a lot of it is just like nostalgia bait and like Easter eggs that's fun to see and watch and like, oh my God, look. But it also felt kind of like Spider-Man No Way Home. If you take away all the nostalgia stuff and you just focus on the story, it's a multiverse story. They're all kind of the same thing, right?
Pretty
Like,
light on plot.
I have to save my timeline, so I gotta do all this fucking. That being said, I still really enjoyed the movie, so I think overall, like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay, so went from a 10 to a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah, like initial viewing, like I really enjoyed this, like mind off, as I watched it, a 10. But if I critically think about it and take away all the like super fun stuff and I get like into the nitty gritty, it kind of falls apart a little bit.
Okay. Fair. All right, so Chuck, how about yourself, man? What's your rating? What'd you think of the film?
We're doing 1 out of 10.
Whatever rating you want to do, man. You do whatever
there's no
whatever
rules
suits
here.
you. Yeah, there's no rules.
I got
It's
you.
CW.
There you go.
Yeah, Chris
there you go.
isn't here, man. It's like After Dark. When the cat's away, the mice will play.
There you go.
This is
man.
like we dug up Wolverine's grave, just really disrespecting the legacy of this show.
Yeah, I think I felt initially a lot like Dean, you know what I mean? That my initial viewing too was like so much eye candy and so much fan service. And it was just like, dude, this was freaking amazing. But again, thinking about it story wise and plot wise, it wasn't really spectacular. But if you kind of think about Endgame and No Way Home too, they're kind of the same thing too. Like they rehash a lot of old stuff. If anything, I would say No Way Home has probably the thickest plot of these three movies, but it didn't take anything away from it. I walked away with one word in my mind, which is that it was fun. You know what I mean? I had a lot of fun watching it. It was really enjoyable. It hit all those, for me, nostalgia notes. I know earlier Mike said he had a lot of love for the 20th century Fox, the 20th century Fox movies. And, I didn't particularly love those, but I always loved Hugh Jackman in those. And seeing something like Logan, where he finally got his due, I was like, all right, now they're going to kind of pay a little bit of homage here and get some things right. You know what I mean? And then, of course, what we see later with some of the cameos, I was like, all right, this is, a love letter to those movies and a proper send off, I think, for some characters.
All right, well said. And did you tell us you said out of 10, how many?
You know what? I'm going to be real generous and say, a 9, because I do feel like, again, the fun factor. Okay, like you guys said, the gloves are off, right? On my show, I have really only 2 criteria for if a movie's good. Would I buy a physical copy and would I go watch it again, in theaters? And it's a yes to both of those for me.
Awesome. Okay, glad to hear you enjoyed it as well. All right, so Mike, I'm a little nervous because he's got a lot of sacred feelings about some of these characters, but what'd you feel about this?
No, to be honest, I thought I was going to be the odd man out, but I agree wholeheartedly with Dean and Chuck. Without a doubt, it is 2 hours of entertainment. It was a blast. I enjoyed every minute of it. But yeah, plot-wise, it's a generic plot. I mean, even to the point where they kind of make fun of it, right? Deadpool has the line, what in the MacGuffin is that, right? I mean, it's all right there. I would say, to Chuck's point with No Way Home, at least No Way Home for me had more of a character arc, character building, with Tom Holland. You don't really get this in that, right? As far as Deadpool goes, you kind of have the same arc that he's had in the first two movies, right? He's kind of accomplishing the same thing. We know who he is, you know. But the difference with this one that I think made it so good was the whole odd couple teaming, right? Of Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, that's a classic movie trope, and they couldn't have been any better with it. I mean, so yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it, but as a film, you know, to take my heart out of it, I think it's 7.5 is probably pretty fair. Like I said, it was a blast. It's going to make a ton of money, but I don't see it as the MCU saving film that some people are claiming it to be.
Okay. All right. All right. And I'm just going to not bury the lead as well. I think I'm echoing a lot of what you guys are saying. But Fern, what'd you think of this?
I mean, to echo them, I feel pretty much the same. I give it a 7, 8 out of 10. Um, I feel like they did a lot of bait and switch with the trailers. I was expecting one thing, and we got something kind of different.
What are
And
some of those specifics that you expected?
um, well, for example, they made it seem like, oh, Deadpool, you know, is officially in the MCU. And not only that, I was expecting more teases of the future of the X-Men in the MCU, and instead we got, 90% of the movie in the void. And I feel like that was just kind of like a cop out to be like, oh, well, we could probably use some of these characters later, but if we don't, we could just use them being in the void as an excuse.
Hmm.
And but I mean, like everybody said, it was a fun movie. It was entertaining. It was funny as hell. But when you really kind of start to think about it, like it's kind of I don't know.
Well, you know, Vern, that was one of the big issues I had because in the trailer, you see him in the void. I love Loki. And so I'm like, okay, it's really awesome. We're seeing, what is the name of the big smoke monster? I'm drawing a blank now. Goliath. You see Goliath, it's like, okay, there's a lot of connective tissue to a TV show. That's pretty incredible. But then we just stay so long in the void where it's like, I'm just wanting you to get out of this and do a lot more of the hopping around different universes or, kind of what we saw in the beginning. So that was it's definitely something that bothered me. But yeah, to kind of say a lot of what you all said, it was just a really fun movie, fun time. I'm going to steal this from Zach because I think he nailed this perfectly. He was like, this movie felt like having all dessert for dinner, right? It's just like, there's not a whole lot of substance to it. Like you're going to feel great. Then afterwards, once you think about it, like, oh, okay. There's some downsides to doing that. But yeah, no, I think it was a really fun movie. But I did have some issues, and it was different than what I expected. And obviously, expectations can definitely be the thief of joy, or I don't think that's the correct term, but expectations can definitely hype something up too much to where it can never live up to that. So yeah, I think this was definitely a victim of those expectations for me personally, and also seeing it at 10 o'clock. So I want to see it again. It's one of those that there's so many jokes, so many cameos that it's like so stuffed full. And I kind of felt that way. I think Dean was the one that said Spider-Man No Way Home, where it's like the first time that I saw it, I was a little bit lukewarm. I was like, I enjoyed this experience, but I need to see it again. And then upon second viewing, I enjoyed it a lot more. So I anticipate that that'll be the case with this one. So guys, next up, so let me give you my score. I will probably say like a 7.5. But the first time I view a movie that I enjoy, that's never a solidified score. It can definitely go up and down. So I do like to watch it that second time to really formulate my opinion. Let's talk about villains really quick. So we had some interesting choices of villains. I thought maybe there would be some different villains that weren't necessarily in the trailer, but on this one, they kind of told us, they kind of showed us who it was. So with that, I'm going to start with Mike first. Mike, what do you think of the villains of this movie?
What was the guy's name? Paradox.
Paradox and Cassandra Nova, I would probably
So
classify.
Paradox, I honestly just found annoying the entire time, and to a point, I feel like that's kind of what his objective was. So
Have you seen
I think,
Secession though? Have you seen that
yeah,
actor before?
I did, and I
Okay.
felt like it was the same character, right?
Yeah, no doubt about
um,
it.
yeah. So whatever. I mean, he was kind of lost for me. Cassandra, I was disappointed in it. I mean, I read the comics, so I know the story. it just kind of felt like I was kind of torn in terms of I wish we would have had somebody better, and I don't really know who that would have been. But then when you watch the film and you see how much impact she actually had, I guess it's probably good that they didn't waste somebody better, if that makes sense. But for somebody that doesn't know the books, they gave you a pretty generic background story, and it was basically just kind of filled in through Deadpool comments and quips. So they didn't really go into who she was. So it probably fell flat for a lot of people, which I think is disappointing. I'm always a fan of good villains, so to not have one that I was excited about in this probably led to part of the whole, with like I said about the plot being thin and everything. And if it wasn't for Deadpool and Wolverine, if you took them out and put in any two other characters, I think this movie's certainly not as well received going with everything else. So overall, kind of disappointing. It was cool to see them bring in somebody new, but without really tying in a good background to it, a real good explanation, it kind of feels wasted.
Definitely, definitely. So Fern, how about yourself? What do you think of the villains?
Pretty forgettable, to be honest. I don't even remember their names. What was the girl's name?
Cassandra Nova. I had to
Cassandra
look it up. I
Nova.
won't lie to you.
At first, I thought it was Doctor Strange's mentor. What's her
Yeah.
name? The chosen one or whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
That's a
pretty good.
call.
But I mean, they were okay. Typical villains. But you know, um,
I will say the effect of her reaching into like everyone's head and brain, that was pretty badass. It's probably one of the cooler things.
yeah. I thought when they were in the TVA, I thought Deadpool was gonna make a joke about how what's the other guy's name? The other villain?
Paradox.
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 Oh, that
Yeah.
He was doing that whole villain speech explaining his plan and stuff like that. I thought Deadpool was gonna poke fun at that, but they didn't. I was like, oh man, that would have been funny. But but yeah, I mean they were okay. Typical
Okay.
villains.
Yeah, typical villain. Just kind of filler too, right? All right. So Dean, how about yourself? Oh, sorry, Dean, you're on mute.
You're muted.
I thought you were just taking a pregnant
Yeah,
pause. I was
sorry.
like, oh, he's about to cook right now.
Yeah, so Paradox, I don't even know if I would consider him a villain, only because he's kind of just a fucking bumbling idiot. He's just like a stepping off point to get to Cassandra Nova. So like every time he was on screen, I was like, why are we even bothering with this dude? Like, he just seemed kind of pointless to me in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Cassandra Nova, that was really cool. I actually really enjoyed her character. Not the strongest villain, but I would say, and this might be a hot take, but I feel like in most Marvel movies, the villains are usually just like the carbon copy opposite of the hero, right? Like in Iron Man 1, Ironmonger, Iron Man 2, fucking Whiplash, Iron Man 3. Well, I guess Iron Man 3, he didn't really have a suit, but, or like even like Captain America 2, it was Bucky, right? Another super soldier, just evil. It's like this villain was actually like so beyond Deadpool and Wolverine that it's like, how do you stop her? How the fuck do you even touch someone who can melt you with their mind? You know what I mean? So it actually felt high stakes. So I really actually enjoyed Cassandra Nova as a villain, where it's not an even playing field, like at all. You know, they can
Yeah, 'cause
heal themselves, but it takes time and stuff, and she can literally just like, I mean, she gets like stabbed, and she just like imagines it away. It's like how do you compete with that? It's crazy.
Yeah, because they even mention it. The other guys, they're like, "Wait, you made it out of their like base alive?"
Right?
Like nobody ever does that.
Yeah. She almost felt like a cat playing with its food, you know?
It's a
Like
good analogy.
I don't even have to like worry about you, so I'm gonna let you do whatever you want to do and think you're gonna get away with it. Like that's how like above everybody else she was. It's like she could have easily just like whisked them away into nothingness when they showed up in the van. But she didn't because she was cocky. I liked it. I thought she was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
to
a
go ahead,
sorry. I was
Mike.
just gonna say that's a good call. You know, like anytime they got even remotely close to her, right, they didn't stand a chance against her physically. So then you knew they had to outsmart her. But then at the same time, is Deadpool and Wolverine the team you want when it comes to outsmarting? You know, these kind of villains, and you know the way they went about it was, you know,
Only
kind of
brute
cheesy.
force.
Again, I enjoyed the heck out of the film. I feel like everything I'm gonna say is be negative, but you know, and just kind of nitpicking. But I said she was cool. I wish she had a little more time, you know, a little more background, a little more story. It would have been. She's definitely a cool character to see.
Yeah, and just really quickly, I want to address this comment from Bob Dylan saying, "Well, these are based on comics. It isn't Pulitzer source material." It's tough, right? Because we hold these movies and properties so near and dear to our hearts that we do want to, speculate on every little thing or like, nitpick every little thing. And I find myself the first watch, like I'm just so locked into overthinking everything, and then after I understand what the movie really is, then I can really enjoy it a lot more the second time I see it. That's just how my overactive brain works. And Bob's also saying, not gonna lie, I got a villain boner. I wanted her fingers inside of me. You know what? I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. So, Chuck, would you want her fingers inside of you, and what'd you think of the villains?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that way about Cassandra Nova because they definitely did make her the ugly old lady from the comics. So I can relate. And uh, having had a butt doctor examine me just the other day, and he looked like Lois Griffin's dad, it was a much better experience. I think would come with Cassandra Nova.
Wow,
So,
wow, this isn't After Dark, Chuck.
oh, sorry. Well, we'll leave that for
Yeah,
after
there you
dark.
go.
But
Quite the
We need the
turn.
full story, but
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Check out last night's show. Anywho, though, yeah. So one thing I thought of, I like Cassandra Nova. I thought she was cool. I thought they did. I felt like exactly what Mike said. I could use more of her. And like X Men Supreme said in the comments, Paradox was the vehicle into the story, but they could have made her the whole thing. Like if she was trying to somehow get into one of the other multiverses or whatever it was, or she was the one, tearing apart Deadpool's world. But then again, I guess it doesn't incorporate the TVA and kind of put, as Fern said, put them really necessarily into the Marvel universe. But I felt exactly the same way as I think all of you said about Paradox. That character was annoying. I could not wait for him to get off the screen. I felt like that whole subplot was wasted. It was like we could have done more time with more cameos or more fan service than seeing any of that bullshit. So they could have, I think, done it all with Cassandra Nova. They could have even had her popping through the other multiverses to kind of introduce them into the Marvel U. But I did enjoy like her powers and things like that. But I felt like she was like you guys said, a little overwhelming for these two characters, and there was potential for her to possibly do more in maybe another future X-Men movie. But it made me think that Deadpool kind of has a series of having bad villains. In the first one, you've got the Francis guy. I didn't even know if that's a guy from the comics. In the second one, it's the fat kid, right? It's like I don't even know if he's from the comics, but I was like, these villains really aren't great.
yeah.
Juggernaut was cool. They made him look really awesome. And the truth is too, Wolverine in his movies, he's kind of had a series of bad villains. It's like Lady Deathstrike isn't a great standalone villain. Even Logan, where
Okay,
it's like
you've gone too far now. Hold your tongue.
don't get me wrong, I love Kelly Hugh, but when you talk about like Logan, which is probably the best Wolverine movie, the Reavers kind of suck. I mean that lead actor, the blonde guy who also comes out in Sandman, is fantastic because he's just really charming and good in anything. But that villain is kind of weak. Like we never got Omega Red, Cyber. There were other villains I think that could have done some better one-on-one stuff. You know what I mean? Like even they bring in Sabretooth, but only to give him to us for a brief moment. When there's so much more depth to that character, if you kind of look at, what Lou Schreiber did with it, I think they could have tweaked it up a little bit, in the villain game. And Dean is kind of right, especially in the Sony movies. It's the villains are always just the opposite of what the hero is. I would say the only really great villain great villains we've had, you could say, is maybe Loki, Red Skull, and Thanos.
Yeah, well said, Chuck. And I forget who mentioned this earlier, but it kind of felt like they were holding things back. Like this, they didn't want to waste any villains. And it definitely does feel that way that, they're saving something for Secret Wars or saving something for the next wave of X-Men whenever they introduce them. So it's almost like these were kind of throwaway villains. I'm the opposite though. I really liked Paradox a lot more, maybe because I spent so much time with Tom and just grew to love that actor so much. He is just so annoying and just such a little bitch, but he plays it perfectly. It's like the perfect, bumbling fool to try to pull a coup and then, mess it up. So, yeah, I just, it definitely felt like things were being held back for future films. So, something that I totally forgot to do, total amateur move, but we still want to check on what the consensus is in terms of the critics and in terms of the audience score. So let me pull up what we've got on Rotten Tomatoes, but shout out to John, the Everyday Collector. I'm going to reuse this clip.
Hey everyone, John the Everyday Collector here, and it's that time of the show where I give you the IMDb rating as well as the Rotten Tomato score on the film of the week.
All right, John. So we've got a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think this started off a little bit stronger. I think maybe it was in the 80s and it's kind of slipped to the 70s. I was kind of scrolling through as I like to do on Rotten Tomatoes because it is very binary, right? Where it's like if it's over, 3 stars, it is fresh. And if it's under, it's considered rotten or, somewhere on that spectrum, right? And so there was a lot of mixed reviews like we're talking about. We're like, oh, it's fun. It's a fun movie. There's not a lot to it. So it felt like that was the consensus of the fresh in terms of what I read. But it seems like 96% audience score. It does seem like audiences are loving this. So, this is kind of sending the signal to Marvel that they want more of this, right? And I think that there is a lot of good stuff to take from this. And if they, obviously the MCU, we can talk about the trend it's going in at the end of this, but it seems like this is at the very least winning back a lot of the audience. And I've heard a lot of positive buzz, even if, necessarily this panel isn't necessarily loving the film. I think we all enjoyed it, and I think just the positive word of mouth overall, and it's just a fun, goofy film. So, yeah, pretty awesome to see that Marvel could be potentially back on the right track. Excuse me. Let me just really quickly check in with the chat. X-Men Supreme is saying, I think Paradox was exactly what he needed to be. He was the annoying overachiever trying to climb the corporate ladder and stepping on everyone else to do it. Yeah, he was annoying. Yeah, I agree. The characterization in the actor was perfect in my eyes. He's saying nobody likes the paradox in The Office. Yeah, true. We got a few of those. So Bob Dylan is saying Callie Hugh and Olivia Munn would have been great. Total hotties. Their absence was noticeable. Maybe for Secret Wars. We could hope. Both of them for sure. So we're going to get into cameos next, and I think this is perfect here because there was so much speculation before this movie. And obviously we saw a lot of what could have been. And, one of the funny memes that I like to see is what they took from us. And I think that was circulating a lot during the Multiverse of Madness, right? Because people expected so much from the film. You only get certain cameos. I was really satisfied with both Multiverse of Madness's cameos and cameos in this film. But I'm really curious, guys, what did you think of the cameos? What was your favorite one? Fern, I'm going to start with you. Favorite cameo, and what did you think of all the cameos?
I'm trying to think, trying to remember all of them because there was a lot. I definitely enjoyed the Calverine, whatever his name was. That one was pretty cool.
That was terrific.
Um,
Leave some meat on the bone for everyone, though. Just don't think out loud too much,
but for sure, my favorite one was Gambit.
Okay.
That was my absolute favorite one. And
You weren't upset that he didn't play it earnestly, though? Like, you didn't want to see, like, I mean, it was true to the comic, but you didn't want to see him play it a little bit more straight up?
what do you mean?
Because obviously they kind of played him as a joke, right? Channing Tatum's a great actor to bring in. He's got great comedic timing,
Yeah.
but would you have liked to see it a little bit more just straight up?
It would have been nice. Like, say like if they actually made the movie and then they still brought him into the void, because I mean the it would have happened anyways because Fox got bought out by Disney, so he probably still would have been in the Deadpool movie, but it just would have been a little bit different. But I think it's funny. I liked how they did it, how they poked fun at the fact that like they never made the movie, and he was like, "Oh, I think I was born in the void actually," and like that, I was like, funny. I like that.
I didn't pick up on that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
That
that
got a
was
good
good.
laugh out of me too. All right, so Gambit was your favorite, and you weren't upset by the characterization. I gotta agree with you though that like at first I was like a little bit like, all right, they kind of made him into a joke, but again, Channing Tatum is so good as a comedic actor. Like it was perfectly played in my opinion. Dean, what was your favorite cameo? What did you think of the cameos overall?
I thought the cameos are really great. I think honestly, the one that stuck out to me was X-23 to bring her back, um, which is kind of, I don't know if it was just luck of the draw, but to also someone just said she was Jackie in the that last Star Wars show. Because I don't follow that actress's career, but I feel like I haven't really seen her since the X Men that
I mean, she
Wolverine
was a
movie.
child last we saw her. Yeah.
Right. So to see her when I found out she was Jackie, I was like, oh, that's the girl that was in the Wolverine movie. And I know a lot of people love that character. Again, I'm not an X Men guy, so I
Dean, how
really
do they
didn't.
not put her in costume though? I
Yeah,
could
that
not
was kind
believe
of
they
odd.
didn't do that.
They're saving it,
Everybody
Mike. They're
else,
saving it.
but
Yeah, they gotta be saving it.
Yeah, I liked
I
the
couldn't
glasses though.
believe
That
it.
was a nice little touch. But again, they went a cheeky route instead of going
Yep.
more true to the comics, which could rub people the wrong way. But I don't
Yeah,
know. I liked it.
I guess they were like, well, you got Wolverine in costume, and that might take away from Wolverine. I don't know. I just thought that was fantastic to see her reprise that role because as far as I've seen with like interviews and stuff with her, she really loves that role that she got to play that character. So I enjoyed seeing that a lot.
Heck yeah. All right. So Chuck, favorite cameo. What'd you think of all the cameos? Were you let down at all?
No, not at all. A lot of stuff I didn't expect. I think that you know, it's like you said earlier, Marco. Though it was so quick. It was like early on, like bam, 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 like all these Wolverines, right? And then we get into like these extra characters that we see towards the end. So definitely loved Cavalry and definitely loved Gambit, especially after the events of X Men '97. It was it was like we needed Gambit. I do agree with what X Men Supreme said though, like, and my sister said the same thing. She was like, "Man, he looked too big in that costume." And I wish they would have put his hair more standing up. But otherwise, I thought that Channing Tatum did a great job. He's from New Orleans, I believe, so I think maybe some of the Cajun sounding stuff was meant to be, accurate sounding dialect, to an extent. So and then once he
It
starts
reminded me of
moving
the
around,
Water Boy, the way he played it. Right, the
yeah,
coach.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But once he started moving around and stuff, man, I could see that he had some real, it seemed like he had some real joy on his face and that it was, really getting into it. And I really hope that what you and Mike are saying is true with X-23 because I thought the exact same thing. I was like, she didn't get a screen accurate costume. Sabretooth didn't get a screen accurate costume. Like it seemed like you guys are giving us everything. Like, why hold back a little bit? But I guess maybe there's more to come. So we'll see on that. But I enjoyed it. I just thought like the early Wolverine stuff was so fast. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, I was kind of enjoying all the stills like this one that were coming out later where you could see it a little bit more clearly. But yeah, just that from the John Byrne Wolverine on the crucifix to Age of Apocalypse Weapon X was just like, whoa, like we're finally seeing that. So that was, even if it was for a brief second, it was really cool.
I've
Heck
um
yeah.
I've actually heard nothing but good things about his accent in the movie, especially people from New Orleans. Like usually the people that I've heard talking shit about it are people that are not from New Orleans, and then the people that are from there, they're like, no, that's actually how a lot of people in New Orleans sound. So that
Yeah,
was really accurate.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I hadn't seen that before. Really quickly, Thomas is saying, I enjoyed seeing the brown suit Wolverine. I hope they make him as a Hot Toys figure. We are going to talk collectibles at the end of this, true to the show. The one thing that we will keep true here. We'll talk about collectibles here in a bit. But so let's see. So Mike, what'd you think about all the cameos? Let down? Did it live up to the expectations?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed them. I'm gonna assume we're gonna save the Wolverine costumes for later because I'm gonna challenge something that Chuck just said. But
Okay.
I would say this picture of Gambit on screen to me looks better still than it did actually in live action, if you will. I felt like when he first walked in, that black neck piece, it just didn't. It looked weird, like it was just too big, and it almost looked like it didn't fit. But as the movie went on, it seemed to look better on him. But this still looks incredible, and I think as far as he's concerned, when you talk about how he played it, honestly, I think he played it exactly the way the character is in the comics. I mean, he tries to be serious and cool and sexy and whatnot, but everybody kind of just brushes him off as a joke. So I think they did a great job with that. For me, hands down, it was Blade. I mean, not even close. I mean, like I said, I go
That
all
was
the way back to the
fucking
beginning with
wild.
these Fox films. I was there opening night for the first Blade, and I just couldn't believe they made that movie. And so when you look at bringing him back with all the drama going on with the current Blade trying to get made, on top of what we assumed was 20 years of bad blood between Ryan Reynolds and Wesley
Yeah.
Snipes. I mean, that was notorious.
Dude,
So much to the
it's
point they even put the joke in the movie. When he says, I don't like this guy, and Deadpool says, "You never did." So I mean, they played right into it. It was fantastic. But when he walked on screen, that was the moment that I sat up in my seat. I was like, I can't believe they got Wesley Snipes for this. So without a doubt, that was the big one for me.
yeah. Who was I talking to? I think it was even my sister, because I think I said something about it, and she was like, "I thought Wesley Snipes hated Ryan Reynolds." I was like, "Does he?" Like even she knew about that. I had no idea. That's really funny because another thing I didn't pick up on watching it initially.
Yeah, it's one of those stories that go way back. Supposedly, during that third Blade film, he was notoriously hated by everybody. I mean, cast, crew, every. The word was he even went method with acting, and he would only be referred to as Blade. I mean, it was, comical, I guess, from how bad it was. And obviously Ryan Reynolds, if you're not in on the joke, he could probably get annoying pretty fast. So supposedly those two, had butted heads the entire time, and yeah, I just saw an interview with Wesley Snipes, and he was kind of playing it off. He's like, you guys thought we didn't like each other, but we did." And then he makes a comment, about how he gets a random text from him, after not speaking for 20 years. So yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to all that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have people I don't like in my phone, so
You're right.
Wow. Damn. I'm in your phone though, right?
next question.
Well,
Of course, I have you on my phone.
heck yeah. So I think my favorite one was definitely Chris Evans, right? So Johnny Storm, the way that they played it was perfect, leading up to having folks think it was Cap. For me, I wasn't fooled though. Like when he showed up, I was like, he's got to be Johnny Storm. And I hadn't even seen any rumors about him being in the film. So that's one that I was shocked that I, kind of that didn't come up at all. But incredible that we've got him back in the MCU to play. Again, they could have done it earnest. They could have done like, oh, we got a variant Cap, but they went in the most wacky way possible, and I loved it. Like it was just, I didn't necessarily love the way that he died or the post-credit scene that they had with him. I thought those were a little bit whatever, but just to have him back was great.
I was surprised he was in there as long as he was. I thought, the scene when he falls down and I assume he broke
Yeah,
his neck. I thought that was it, and just quick and simple. And the fact that they brought him along a little further was fun.
Yeah.
yeah. I think my honorable mention was what did Fern go?
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
Fern-
He
Fern
said
went
Gambit.
first. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I think for me, honorable mention was Henry Cavill. That was fucking hilarious. I didn't see that coming at all.
So freaking
I
good.
thought it was gonna be either Daniel Radcliffe or what's his name? Clint Eastwood's son.
Scotty
No,
Sword.
listen, as
Scotty
a big
Sword.
Cavill fan, I recognized those traps the minute they were on screen. There was no
Yeah,
doubt.
dude. They could have tightened up his wig a little bit with the hair part for him, but otherwise, I was like, holy shit, that's a badass looking Wolverine, man.
He was
Yeah,
great, but the
jacked.
best part was the Deadpool call that that we'll treat you right or whatever he said earlier.
Yeah,
That
I
was
love that.
fantastic.
I love that. Yeah.
That was really
So I think that's a really good transition because let's talk Wolverine variants, and we're going to talk Deadpool variants as well. And this is, I'm running the show, so this is how we're going to do it, whether anyone agrees with it or not. But so let's just go through everyone's favorite variant of Wolverine that popped up, and let's again leave some meat on the bone. Just talk about one of them. And I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to say my favorite one was definitely the brown suit, right? So I think Thomas mentioned it earlier. I think the brown suit was just fantastic. And I wanted to see that battle with Hulk, right? They just gave that tease. But again, I feel like they're saving it for Secret Wars. They're saving it for the future. They want to just give us just enough to get excited. But Dean, I'm going to have you go next. What was your favorite Wolverine variant that popped up?
As much as I like the Cavill one, that was more of like oh fuck, that's cool. But I think my favorite one was the very short one. Where he's
So
like,
good.
Hi, comic accurate Wolverine. That was so funny. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that beautifully played. How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, as I would love to say, I like the short Wolverine as a short king, and who's always loved Wolverine for his height. I think we're almost technically the same height, and as he is in comics as I am in real life. And I was just like, wow, it just did not look good on screen. So with that being said, I'll probably translate it over to the Age of Apocalypse one. Him as Weapon X. That was something I did not see coming, and was totally like, whoa, that's really cool. And again, it's not a Wolverine thing, and I don't know if this was what they were going for, but when we all, I think, first thought that Chris Evans was Cap, they kind of had him looking like what he looked like, and I think in the Earth X comics, the Alex Ross drawn when he had that cloak on, and I was like, holy shit, they pulled the Earth X Cap. That's pretty wild, which would have been like a bald Cap with like I think he has some scarring on his face. So yeah, it caught me off guard too, Marco, with it being Johnny Storm, which I thought was like, oh, of course, it's a Deadpool movie. They're going to do that. How great is that? But other than that, yeah, that brief, quick glimpse of Age of Apocalypse, Weapon X was super cool. I was like, wow, that's deep. And I was with, my family who no one knew what that was, so I had to geek out alone.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. So we haven't left a lot of meat on the bone. So Mike, I want you to explain this one if you wouldn't mind. If you got background, if not, we'll kick it to the chat. But this Wolverine that popped up on the cross, do you know were you familiar with what that was from? And was that one that you were excited to see?
So I'm familiar with the cover, but honestly, story-wise, it's the only one that I'm not familiar
Okay.
with. So I'm not sure what the actual story is. I've seen the cover, so I knew what they were doing when I saw it. But yeah, no, I don't know what this story is, which kind of bothers me because I feel like I know a lot of the X-Men and Wolverine from this era.
This is one that I had never even seen allusions to. I was like, this is
Sure.
completely a blind spot for me. So when people were freaking out, I was like, I got no clue. I was sitting next to Usby, who's another big Wolverine fan, right? His son's name is Logan. And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know about this one. So, all right, well, one that we'll have to read up on. Any others stand out for you though, Mike?
So the one that surprised me the most was probably the Age of Apocalypse one. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, I would, Marco, we kind of talked about it briefly a couple of days ago. But yeah, that's such a cool story, and I would love to see something like that on screen. It'll never happen, but that would be so cool. The one that I wanted to like the most, but kind of gave me pause, was actually this brown suit one, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk to Chuck about, because this is not actually the John, is it Brian suit.
Yeah. Well, this picture's McFarlane, I know that.
No,
right?
But even the costume, and which was curious because even Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool commented that it was a John Byrne suit, but it's not, because if you look closely, the way the lines are on the screen, and he doesn't have the wings on the boot that echo, the cow, it's not the same. It's actually from a story, I think it's called like Krakoa or something, that's almost exactly what it looks like. So I knew something was off when I saw it on screen. I still loved it. It still looks amazing, and I
Yeah.
will buy the hot toy if they put it out. But I was disappointed that they actually messed up the reference in the dialogue with it. So I was excited for this, but also disappointed that they actually referred to it as the wrong thing. They were trying.
Yeah.
They even mimicked,
Interesting.
the
I didn't
scene
pick
with the
that up.
Hulk, but yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
different. But yeah, that Age of Ultron, man, with that wild hair and beard, and that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Even them being able to recreate this cover right here, that I didn't think they'd be able
Yeah.
to do that on screen ever, because the claws are drawn so dramatically different on that.
Yeah, right.
But
It's
they
like they're
pulled it
twisted.
off. Yeah, they pulled it off expertly. I thought, I was like, wow, how great is
Yeah,
that?
that was cool.
So I'm trying to think through if there's any others that we haven't covered. Obviously, we talked about the Henry Cavill one, which was incredible. That totally didn't see that coming. How'd y'all feel about Patch? Did they portray Patch in a way that was appropriate to y'all?
I was gonna say Patch was. I like that one. That one was cool.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
looked
that was
dope.
cool. It didn't really do much. It would have been cool if, similar to the list, they kind of put the what is it? Is it the Mr. Fix It Hulk
Oh
in
yeah,
the scene
yeah, Joe
somewhere?
Fix It,
That would have
yeah.
been nice too.
Yeah,
But
that would have been incredible.
but yeah, no, it definitely looked cool. I wish we'd have got a little more really a little more to any of these, but yeah, that was cool to see.
Even
One
making
thing
the whole gray in like those two scenes, like even when he's in the claws, and then like you said, Mike, putting him somewhere like in the background, that would have been bananas to see.
Yeah.
Just the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, but gray. I think people would have blown their loads.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, he could have just been standing by the door, being
Yeah.
being the bounty to the club. I mean, that would have been amazing.
One thing I
Yeah.
did hear is that the Hulk that he was fighting was actually the Norton Hulk. I don't know. I don't know if that might be true or.
Interesting.
I heard it that it was the Eric Bana one, so I'm guessing nobody really knows. We're gonna have to find a pause screen on that and really.
Yeah, I
dive
saw
into
a
it.
pause screen and it looked like the Ruffalo one to me. Like it almost looked like exactly that one scene they always show where they're doing that camera goes around all the Avengers and he does that scream. It looked like they just clipped that but into the claws. And I know nobody mentioned it, but the Old Man Logan, the brief scene was really awesome too. As quick as that,
Oh,
that
yeah,
like
that's-
all
that's
that
a good
happened
one.
so quick. I
Yeah.
was like, damn. I think what No Way Home did really well is that it incorporated all the cameos and things like that into the story. Like with what we saw cameo wise, we could have had a story that like played through all those things. You know what I mean? Like maybe the Wolverine variants helping them get to the next point or something like that. And you can still have, Blade and Gambit, the other characters we saw play along, again, retrospective wishful thinking, but it was just like so quick. It was kind of like, okay, here's some fan service, bam, bam, bam. Okay, get that in
Yeah.
your system.
They kind of
could
gave
have
us that. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just say well, it would have been. I just thought of this as you said that, Chuck. But it would have been cool to see it if they brought them in to the scene with the Deadpool Corps and they were mixed in with them, seeing all them fight each other.
Yeah.
You know,
that would have
but-
been.
Mike out
Also
here
the-
writing a better movie, man. Damn you,
Right.
Mike. I want to see that now.
And
Oh, man.
going, it's kind of echoing the Patch thing with the Hulk cameo. Imagine if you had the Old Man Logan and you had a baby Hulk sitting on the porch with them or something like that for the comics. I mean, they could have done so much more. I mean, we got
Dude,
definitely
so
a lot of
cool.
fan service, but man, they could have went way harder into that.
Now,
We got a
do you
little bit
guys-
more multiverse storytelling to come, though. Go ahead, Ferd.
I was gonna say, do you guys think that the Calverine, you think that was like a throwaway cameo, or you think that might be like a little tease of what's to come?
I think it's throwaway. I think it's just
I do
like
too.
John
Mr.
Krasinski.
Fantastic. Exactly.
Yeah, like you guys been wanting this. Here's a little. You get to see it, but that's it. You know what I mean?
They're not going to sign their life away to Marvel, but we'll give you one throwaway cameo.
I like how
Yeah.
he did his little the arm reload thing that he does in the
Yeah.
From Mission
Yeah.
Impossible.
That was very cool.
But also, he's so down to come back and play a role like that. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him back in the MCU or just
Yeah,
as
and-
Wolverine.
and he's a big nerd too, so
Mm.
What a cool dude, honestly.
Maybe they're testing the waters to see who could take over for Wolverine.
that is true.
See, like, do people like Henry Cavill?
It could be. It seems though that they're hitching the future Wolverine to Hugh Jackman, just as well. I mean, they seem to imply
That's
that
true.
he's going to be the Wolverine for
90.
quite a while, which makes me think they're just going to kind of push push the X-Men further down the road.
I
Yeah,
mean, everything I've heard about where people want Cavill in the Marvel universe, there's only two roles to me that make sense. One would have to be to play Logan and be Wolverine, and I do kind of agree with X Men Supreme. You know, yes, another too tall Wolverine, but as we've seen, short Wolverine might just not work.
Short
And
King
also,
Wolverine.
yeah, I don't know what Short King could do it. I know I'm not that buff at this height, so I think that
Daniel
you got to
Radcliffe. Oh, I don't know how short he is.
and yeah, and he does look cut. You know, he looks good. But I definitely think that if you're going to get Cavill, you're going to put him after being Superman. You know, you don't do Sentry, you don't do Hyperion, you don't do one of
He's
these other
5'5".
Superman characters. You got to do him as Wolverine because it's equally iconic to Superman. Or you cast him as Victor Von Doom, and you have Cavill. But again, I think he's too good looking to waste under a mask. But you only put him in one of those iconic roles. Don't make him beneath. You know what I mean? You can't go from Superman to the B Squad.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Captain
Daniel
Britain.
Radcliffe is 5'5", which is only 2 inches taller than
Wow.
Wolverine. So you could futz him in there.
There you go. And really quickly, Bob Dylan is saying, man, he could have used the temp pad and portaled all the variants in On Your Left Endgame style.
That
I
would
think
have
that
been
was the
amazing.
thing. You're kind of waiting for that like insane moment. So I think that's a perfect transition into the Deadpool variants. So I'm just gonna open it up to everyone. What did everyone think of all the variants? Did they go wacky enough? Did they go too wacky? Was it a satisfying scene to kind of have them all come in at the end? What'd y'all think of that?
I thought it was really stupid. Only because
It was disappointing.
if you take it out of the movie, nothing changes.
Yep.
No. Yeah.
It had no bearing on the story whatsoever. The only one that really mattered was Nice Pool
Yeah.
because he helped them get the van and find the other people. All the other Deadpools, it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
It
I
served
didn't
no purpose.
I'm not a Deadpool guy, so I didn't know if that was except for the movies, except for Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. So in that sense, as even though I'm a comic book guy, I'm just not a Deadpool guy, and I never have been. But I really love the movies and love him in that role. So I didn't know if that was fan service for Deadpool fans. I didn't know if any of that was from the comics or what. I think I knew Lady Pool is from the comics, but the rest of that shit I didn't know. So for me, it did nothing. I was like, and I felt exactly like Dean said. I was like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Now if you
It's a
put
cool
in that,
scene.
yeah, it looks cool. She looks fantastic. Whoever's in the suit and walking up the way she did. But damn, you do the scene that Mike said. You do the scene that I forgot who it was in the chat that said was it Bob Dylan. But you have the other variants come, the Wolverine variants versus the Deadpool variants. That's insane. Plus, you add in the cameos. And real quick, I mean, I think that would have made my theater pop. That would have fucking melted fans' minds. And the other thing that I thought would have done that is that, and me and Double A were talking about this right after we texted each other. I said, man, if Gambit would have said that "remember it" line somewhere in the movie, I think that would have blown the roof off the theater.
What is that in
Gambit's
reference to? Sorry, Chuck. I'm a little bit slow here.
No, that's okay. That's it's from the X-Men 97, but he says it in the original X-Men 92. But the name is Gambit. Remember it. You know what I mean? And of course,
Oh, I see. Okay.
Coming right out of X-Men 97, it was such a huge moment in that show that I think for him to have Channing Tatum say that, you know what I mean, it would have been like, holy shit, you just would have, I think the crowd would have just gone nuts.
Yeah, that would have been incredible. I just wanted to comment on Bob Dylan's chat here. I couldn't believe how much I did enjoy the music in this thing, because take any of those songs outside of this and I'm turning the channel off almost as fast as I could. But every one of those songs was just perfect and just had me laughing. But yeah, as far as the Deadpools, I mean, Dean's exactly right. I mean, they were pointless, right? I mean, they fought them all only to turn around and see that they did nothing and have to fight them again and, get a way out. So yeah, I mean, obviously, Dogpool or Mary Poppins or whatever that dog's name is, it's all the talk here in my house with my daughter every time she sees it. I mean, she's such an animal lover, that's all she cares about. And as soon as I came back was, how was Dogpool? So obviously really the only one with any impact other than Nice Pool. The rest, I mean, had we some interaction, maybe it would have been fun, but I guess, I don't know. I love the Wolverine stuff and we had no interaction. So maybe it's just because my heart's with Logan and not with Deadpool.
Speaking of Dogpool, I seen this behind the scenes. clip, um, the part where the dog is just inside of Ryan's mouth, just all of that was actually like for real. It's like he actually did that. Like it wasn't
That's
like,
great.
and I was like, damn, like that's kind of gross. Yeah, because I see, yeah, I seen this behind the scene where one of the takes, Hugh Jackman couldn't keep it together. He kept laughing because he just kept like the dog was just all up in Ryan's mouth, and I was just like, that's just nasty.
Oh man.
Does Kevin do that to you, Dean? Does he get all up in there?
No, he does not.
As I
You're
know my
amongst
dog.
friends. You don't have to lie.
Yeah, my dog does that. My dog
He
is.
said that
If
with
I have,
such disappointment.
yeah, if I have him near my face, my dog
My
Kylo.
best
If I
friend.
brought him right here, right now, he would be like, just it would be insane.
I mean, he licks my face, but he doesn't try and get in my mouth.
Oh,
Yeah, there was a couple. I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but someone. The rumor is the cowboy Deadpool was Matthew McConaughey, which sounds like some shit he would do.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too. That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
and then I saw another thing that was confirmed by People Magazine: Kid Pool and Baby Pool, and obviously Lady Pool are Ryan Reynolds' wife and kids. His,
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't know
I
how
think the
old
baby
the
pool
kid
was
pool is,
probably
but
CGI, but I think the the baby noises and whatnot that was making, yeah, I think that was his
yeah, of
kid.
course.
But did the cowboy pool or whatever his name, did he have a line? I don't even remember.
I think I
Did
said
he
like one
speak?
thing.
Oh, did it? Okay.
If yeah, it was probably just like in passing, but
Yeah. And I didn't I thought I saw that Tom Holland's brother was one of the Deadpools as well. I'm not
yeah,
sure which one, but
Oh really?
yeah, he was
yeah, it
in one of the
looked like
suits.
it actually kind of looked like the Deadpool 2 costume,
Yeah.
not like a specific Deadpool, right? Because it was like the samurai, the
Yeah, just
cowboy,
random.
the like cyber, like armored one. It was cool. Like I said, it was a cool scene. It's just didn't serve a purpose. I thought maybe they would like help in the final fight or somehow like, oh, this is gonna have some kind of payoff where I don't even know why they even attacked Deadpool and Wolverine. Did it explain that initially?
It's kind of lost on me as well, Dean.
Yeah, if they
Because
did, I missed it.
I thought it was because I
yeah,
fell asleep, but
I don't think it did because they weren't working for Cassandra. I don't think. So it's like, so why are they attacking Deadpool Wolverine? Like, I really didn't understand that. So I thought, like, oh, okay, they're gonna have a misunderstanding. Peter's gonna come and save the day, and they're gonna help somehow.
so X-Men Supreme is saying they worked for Cassandra Nova.
They did. Okay, well, I guess.
No,
Um,
I think it's because I think it was because they knew that Cassandra was after them, and then she was trying to take control of the void, so they didn't want that. So they were trying to kill Deadpool to like stop. I don't know.
because Deadpool
I
was
don't know
trying to
either.
stop Cassandra. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't. If you say so, I may have missed that. Again, you
I
gotta
don't
watch
know.
these movies more than once, but
I'm just kind
Yeah.
of talking out my ass. I
And
don't
I
know.
feel like all those little Easter eggs though that we just talked about, because so much is happening, you're not able to process it all. But on the second watch or future watches, it's going to be a lot more fun, right? Because, like you said, it's just kind of all wacky. It doesn't necessarily make sense. It doesn't add a whole lot, but it'd just be fun to throw it on and just watch it.
right.
Yeah, to X-Men Supremes there, as you said that does sound familiar now that she made the comment about keeping them on the payroll.
Well, yeah. So I think we all felt pretty similar though about the Deadpool variants. Okay, so one that kind of bothers me, but I've got no connection to the comics, is just Headpool. It's just too wacky to the point where it doesn't necessarily feel like it fits. I mean, I get a lot of them are wacky, but that one was like, okay, we're going way too animated at this point. But what'd y'all think of Headpool? Did you enjoy it?
I know Headpool's uh, in the comics, And there's a couple games where Deadpool is kind of like Deadpool's companion, and they have a lot of banter back and forth, obviously. But yeah, it was just kind of like, oh look, Deadpool's in this. It, again, there's
Yeah.
so many things going on that they can't
Yeah.
cram a bunch of stuff in there. So it was just kind of like a nod to the, Deadpool.
And Bob Dylan is saying Deadpool is played by Nathan Fillion, big
Oh, hell
sci-fi
yeah.
actor.
I love
Would you
it.
say that
awesome.
this movie was sci-fi, Dean?
This was definitely sci-fi.
All right, we can agree on that. Oh boy. All right, so
Because there's no werewolves.
Have you ever?
That's
have
right.
have you ever seen the Nathan Fillion Civilian Pavilion?
no, I don't know what that is.
There's some place, I don't know who made it or what, but it's a pavilion. So it's like a little it's like a little hangout spot. But they call it the Nathan Fillion Civilian Pavilion. And it's just like I said, it's like a porch, essentially, like a wooden, there's like coffee tables and stuff, and there's just pictures of Nathan Fillion all over it. And he went there and filmed a video.
Oh, that's
I think
awesome.
it's
I have
on his
not heard
Instagram
this.
or his TikTok. It's really
Do you know where it was?
I don't. I could probably find
Wow,
out.
that's amazing.
So really quickly, let me check in with the chat here. X-Men Suprema saying Deadpool came from the zombie verse. He was just lost his body there. Okay. And then SpongeBob Thomas is saying Deadpool is from the zombie verse. All right, echoing that. And then Sam Gist is saying, when Wolverine helped Deadpool complete the stream, I wanted Dogpool to come in and help with the last little oomph they needed. Would have been incredible. Honestly, would have been incredible. So guys, I want to talk about collectibles here. So let's see, we got Big Rib in the house as well. Really quickly, if you're in here, if you're watching a replay, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to Collecting Weekly, they got enough subscribers. Don't worry about that part. Let me see this really quick.
It's in Canada.
Of
Oh, it's in
course
Canada. Okay, so not anywhere we want to go.
Oh, hey, now.
No, kidding. Shout out to all our Canadian friends out there, except for,
Where's
for Bad
Bullyfish?
Fish. That's right, except for Bullyfish. So, guys, I want to talk about collectibles here. So, we'll talk about collectibles and we'll finish up with just some last thoughts. So, did anyone track down this popcorn bucket? I will just say off the top, I was pretty underwhelmed when they first announced this. I thought it was going to be cooler, honestly. And it felt like a bit of a letdown because there was so much hype around it. But did anyone track this down? Does anyone desire to have this if they didn't get it? Or did anyone get any other memorabilia, non-1/6 scale from the film?
No, my room doesn't have merch, so I didn't get it. My kitchen
Oh, wow, yeah.
is the concession stand.
That's right.
They were all out.
Um,
You couldn't
Awesome.
DoorDash a popcorn bucket?
I didn't try.
I didn't get this one because I kind of thought the same thing. I knew it was, I guess, supposed to be a play on how everyone was talking about the Dune bucket. And I thought it looked kind of underwhelming also, like you said, Marco. So, and I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be the only bucket for this, movie. But then I think Cinemark did that one that just looks like Wolverine's head. And I did
that
pick
one's
up
pretty
that one.
cool.
Yeah, I picked up that one because I thought that looked kind of cool. And then Jack in the Box did a Jack ball, like your antenna ball, but it's shaped colored like Deadpool. So I picked those two things up. It wasn't at the theater, but yeah. And then I got a couple of cups because that was like the better value to get the cup with the popcorn. So
Oh, there you go. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't anything that I was, besides the Wolverine head, there wasn't really anything I was like seeking out.
I kind of love this return to the 90s, like, fast food and theaters having this type of merch
Yeah.
that people are into. Like, it's kind of nostalgic for me. So, although I don't necessarily participate all the time, it's pretty cool to see. Mike or Fern, did either of you guys pick up any popcorn buckets or any desire to pick up any tchotchkes from the film?
No, I didn't. My Cinemark had the Wolverine head. They actually had a couple there the night I went. So I thought about it, but the last thing I need is to start collecting more things like this because it did look cool. Not to go off topic, but if you guys have seen the one they're teasing for the Alien movie, I may have to actually go get that one. But
Very
Oh, I
yeah,
haven't
it's
seen that.
yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool. But no, I didn't. I'm gonna try and just save up all my money and wait for all these Wolverine variants to hopefully show up.
There you go. There you go.
So
And
sorry, Marco, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just Mike reminded me, and maybe Mike can appreciate this. My dad likes to buy. He doesn't drink, but he'll buy for me and my sister for the house here at my house. Bottles of liquor that are from different celebrities. He only buys like the celebrity ones, like the Rocks tequila, and he bought the aviation gin from Ryan Reynolds. Well, he happened to find the Deadpool and Wolverine labeled aviation gins
Wow.
and bought those two for us to have here in the house. We don't plan to open them. We're not really gin drinkers in the house. We haven't finished that first bottle of aviation gin, but they're really neat because there's like a seal on them, and it's of course the one Wolverine logo and then the one Deadpool logo. You can look them up and see what they look like. It's just like a small sticker, but it's pretty badass. So I was kind of glad to
Yeah,
get those.
I saw that and I wanted to get it. And, like I said at the beginning, I'm actually sitting at my bar here on the stream. I would love to have that up here. But nobody around here would get it. And as of now, it's illegal to ship alcohol to Ohio. So I
wow.
couldn't get it delivered or anywhere. So, but I saw that and that would have been cool to have.
We'll talk offline, Mike. We'll talk offline.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it is illegal to ship it to Ohio. Okay, you heard that right.
I mean-
So
It's only legal if you get caught.
there you go.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
so, so on that getting caught here, because this line's going to get me in trouble for sure. Let's talk about 1/6 scale figures. I want to know how deep everyone's going down this line. I will start here. I've been a champion of getting 2 of this version of Wolverine. I still think that's the right play. One with the mask on, one with the mask off. Obviously, this Deadpool, there's a limited edition version. I think it's got maybe 14 or so days left for you to buy that from Sideshow. And then, you could get the standard version from a mom and pop shop or, other places. But I just want to know, is anyone getting any 1/6 scale figures from this line? How deep are you going? What variants or other characters that haven't been announced yet might you want to see Hot Toys announce?
I'm definitely getting Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that might be it though. I don't know if I care about all the other variants and stuff. Now, the Lady Deadpool, have we seen her without the mask off? And it was, Blake Lively. I definitely want to.
Oh, if it came with the Blake Lively head sculpt, no brainer.
Yeah, no
100%.
fucking brainer. That being said, I do like the Lady Deadpool. She just went up for pre-order yesterday, I think, and the photos look fantastic. Like,
And confirm that she has real wool hair as well, so it's kind of like an artisan figure.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Is it really? Wow.
It's not actually
which is shocking.
rooted, obviously, because there's no head. It's under a mask, so it all comes out at one point. But yeah, it's like the same material, so that is really cool. But yeah, the figure looks great. But yeah, I think I'm good with just Deadpool Wolverine.
Chuck, are you getting any figures from this line at all?
No, not. I don't collect at this level like you guys, but I do love to just see them. And I thought it was interesting earlier. Like some of the people in the chat were talking about which variants they hope do come out with figures, and it would be really awesome just to see that. It's interesting to me, and maybe you guys can answer this for me. But why do you guys think that they did her right away? Like again, the character was kind of ancillary to the others, but they threw her out like right away, right? Like why you guys just think
Because it's kind of easy to do, right? They can scale other pieces that they already have. They've already made a
Okay.
Deadpool, so they've already got the R&D ostensibly for a figure like that. So that's my opinion of why they did it, because it's easy to do.
Interesting. Yeah, no, but I think they look fantastic, and I think anyone that, as if I were gonna make my venture into this, I'd probably start with the Wolverine. Wolverine would be a great way, I think, to kick it off. But I didn't Did you say, Marco, you have to get 2 because the one figure doesn't come with both heads, masked and unmasked?
He does come with both heads, but I kind of want one to display
Don't
with my
listen to
X.
Marco. You don't need to.
Yeah, this is the words of a madman, but every Joker that's not a Joaquin Phoenix Joker you need, and you need 2 of every Wolverine. Go ahead, Dean. Go ahead.
Treat yourself.
That's right. You know what? I honestly deserve it.
It's
I
your
really do
money.
deserve it. I've
Now,
had a
you
pretty.
have to put the same amount of money away, but you still do
Yeah,
that?
I got to pay my tax. I've got to pay my tax. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying
If you're
to
okay with paying quadruple,
that's the tough calculation.
that's on you.
You can afford anything, you just can't afford everything, right? You're going to have a trade-off. Maybe that means you don't get Lady Pool and you get 2 Wolverines.
Yeah.
But
Which is fair because she's in 5 seconds of the movie.
yeah. Exactly. In this Wolverine, like this version of the suit is what got me into collecting figures, right? Like I grew up on the X-Men animated series. He was in this costume. That was one of the first action figures I ever had. So this is definitely a special costume to me. And so I want to, but I'm crazy. So Mike, how deep down the line are you going? Which variants are you waiting on? Let us know.
So it's as far as Deadpool, I'm a little torn. I have the Deadpool 2, which is still in great shape. It's a good figure. So I'm torn on whether there's enough here to make it worth the upgrade. So I'm still on the fence with that. As far as Wolverine, I would, of course, treat yourself. I would make the argument to only get one Wolverine. And because you have the different options, it actually kind of forces your hand to actually repose the figure more often, which is something I
go.
don't do a ton of, but I feel like
Yeah.
having so many good looks will kind of force me to do that, which is something I want to do more of. So for that reason, I'm intentionally, one's good enough for me. The one they just teased without the shirt, it doesn't do anything for me. I think the body looks amazing. And if that's where the technology is going, I think we're in for some real treats. But
You're right.
that
They're
one
going to
does-
reuse that body on another version.
Now,
yeah.
Marco. Oh, I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that makes a lot more sense for Marco to get 2 Wolverines. Because he only wears the cowl at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So him shirtless with the cowl on makes more sense than having the cowl on another one of these bodies.
It does, but I felt like it was a weird look.
It was
You know?
definitely weird. It was,
Right? So I don't know. Do you maybe to each their own if that's the look you want on your shelf, but
yeah, I mean,
that's
during the Deadpool fight, he has the outfit on with no
Yeah.
sleeves.
Right. I'd rather have him without
No.
sleeves. Are you guys getting no sleeves with any of these?
It comes
yeah,
with
you
it.
get both options with the first release.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
With
So,
only
but-
the deluxe, I think, though, right? The deluxe has both set
yeah,
arms.
you may be right. Yeah, so you'll have to pay a little more for it, but you do get the option. I mean, to essentially 3 different looks with buying just the one set. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, it'll always be hard for me to say no to any Wolverine. So my heart wants them to make every version that they showed us. My wallet doesn't want them to make anything else. So yeah, if they drop a Wolverine, it'll probably make its way home at some point.
That brown suit's coming. It's got to be.
That brown suit is and that, if regardless of whose suit it is, I've always had a preference to the brown suit. I know everybody loves the Jim Lee blue and yellow tiger stripe look, and I do too. But the Wolverine stories for me were always better on his solo runs, and that's generally when he wore the brown suits. So that one has a special place for me. I prefer that one.
And
I
in
would've-
the arcade game, he has the brown suit too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they make that brown suit the summer showcase exclusive for next year.
Oh, for next year.
Yeah.
We're going to have forgotten about this movie by next year, but typical Hot Toys, they'll do it. 14 Welling is saying, why repose when you could just spend more money? It's
I love
flawless logic.
Right.
Bob
I'll let you
Dylan.
talk to my wife.
That's right. Just don't let our wives talk to each other. That's
Yeah,
when we get in
right.
trouble.
Yeah.
Thirst Trap Wolvie is great. You could use that body to make a solo movie Wolverine or even a Batman comic cover where Alfred is tending to his wounds. Only Bob Dylan could pull that off, honestly. But
I
I
think-
aspire.
I think that body would be amazing to use as like a samurai Wolverine custom. I think it would be credible. So I mean, if you can find the body, separately, I think it could make for some serious kit bash.
I'm already planning on buying multiple of those bodies to use for other like Wolverines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, you're going deep on that one then, Ferd.
Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
man.
basically.
Okay, the last question I have about 1/6. So the Deadpool exclusive version that comes with the golden guns and comes with that base, which I just saw Jetta's review. He said the base is kind of that cheap plastic. Is that a must-have though? Are the golden guns a must-have accessory, or was it kind of like, all right, just spend a little bit less and just get the standard version?
How much less is it?
It's the same
Let's say
thing.
if you were going through Collector
Oh,
Zone and you were a member of the Cantina, we're talking, potentially significantly less than the exclusive version.
because I was all for the golden guns, dude. I want to own a Desert Eagle in gold so bad, but they're like $15,000. Um, so to get the figure with him, I was like, hell yeah. But then I saw the movie, and he only runs one clip through each gun. I was like,
It's a nothing.
what the fuck was that? Because they hyped it up, right? When you first see him. He's like, oh, give me
Same.
your guns. He's like, over my dead body. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, it's going to lead up to that, which it did. And it was funny. But then you didn't see him again. I was like, that was fucking stupid.
Same thing with
Um,
the baby. That never happens in the movie.
Oh, him holding the baby in the
Yeah.
holder.
Yeah, the
right.
carrier. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only reason I would get that that version is to get it sooner, right? Because those are already out. So
Yeah, and I feel like all versions will be pushed. I don't know that you have to get the exclusive to get Deadpool at some point this year. I don't know that to be true.
yeah,
I think
No,
you're right. I think
they
they'll come
both
pretty quick.
they both say August to
Yeah.
October.
Do you
yeah.
guys get Ryan Reynolds like the unmasked heads with the Deadpools?
No, everyone
No.
was hoping, but not yet.
Wow.
But Chuck, there may be a battle damage version that comes with the Wolverine claws, maybe with the skeleton. Right? We could we could definitely see that as an
Has to
accessory.
be
I
coming.
wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
Huh.
So maybe that version has a sculpt, which wouldn't necessarily jive with the version, but Hot Toys does whatever they want to do.
Wow. Is there a
I would
reason
like
behind that? Is
them.
like a rights thing, like a
No, it's a
payments
like a
or?
buy more figures type of thing. Like
Oh, okay.
buy this one now, and then next year you could buy another one too. So that's all it is. X-Men Supreme is saying, but the exclusive is the same cost on Sideshow. They both cost the same. Exactly right. So if you're buying from Sideshow, I think you've got again like 14 days to buy the exclusive. Definitely just go with that version. But if you're going through a mom and pop shop, again like Collector Zone, I think promo code CW. Yeah, so you would you could save a little bit of money. So it's kind of dependent on, do you need the exclusive stuff versus do you just want the best price? What were you saying, Dean?
He's $380.
This
That's on
Deadpool
Collector's
shouldn't be.
Zone.
Oh yeah, well, but you got to use the promo codes. Come on, you got to be part of the Cantina, or you got to use
Yeah,
the collector's the CW promo code. Come on.
it just seems
Let's
kind
see.
of high.
Bob Dylan is saying that's all in. That's shipping. I'm sounding like I'm
Right.
promoting him, but that's your sponsor.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan. They made two Wolverines. You think you're only getting one Reynolds Deadpool from his own movie? Zero chance. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
we'll get
there's
the battle
definitely more.
damage.
Well,
It's coming. It's coming.
yeah. Okay.
I
Go
want
ahead, Dean.
them
What were you gonna say?
to include this couch here with one of the sets. I want the
Right.
couch.
Bro, yes.
I was thinking
This
the
is
same
awesome.
thing.
Yeah, I want that.
Hot Toys needs to do
Especially
more dioramas like this. What were you saying, Ferd?
especially since I have the first Deadpool, and now that I'm gonna get the new Deadpool, I was planning on putting Crocs on that first Deadpool and having the unmasked third party head sculpt and just putting him like in a couch or something like that, and then having the new Deadpool. So yeah, I'm kind of talking to Zach about him printing some Crocs for me. So
That's
it's a work
awesome.
it's a work in progress.
I love
I
that.
wanted to
X-Men
do
is saying,
something similar, Fern, but I never did anything with it. But an idea is I wanted to get the bathrobe from Fight Club
Oh, okay.
and
Oh yeah, yeah.
put that on him and just have it's kind of the same thing. Put the Crocs on him and just have him sitting on a couch and yeah.
I
But I
love
feel like that
that.
bathrobe would be perfect.
that would
That'd
be
be great.
awesome.
That's a great one, Mike. I was thinking, I was rereading Big Rib's comment about the deleted scene. I think we saw a scene in one of the trailers also where they're at the diner talking, and he talks about could he eat with his mask on? He said it's kind of hard to eat without it, and then Wolverine tells him, "Well, it's kind of hard for me to eat with you having it off." That scene
That's
also
right.
wasn't in the
Yeah.
movie, so I think there might have been some stuff that we definitely will get later on, scene wise.
Good call.
Did you
For
guys
the
think,
unrated cut where they say fuck more often.
Yeah,
Go
no
ahead. What was the
kidding,
question?
No. Did you guys think that there was like a disservice a little bit to like Vanessa and Dopinder, who kind of like helped, as supporting cast in the other two movies, and they were really pushed to the side in this one?
That's a great question. Yeah, I wanted more from them because I love them, and I wanted Domino as well. That was one that,
Yeah.
a supporting character that we should have seen some of.
Yeah.
Speaking of the mask on, that's one thing I wanted to ask you guys. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the scenes with Hugh Jackman when the his torso clothes gets torn apart, and he always has his mask on, and when he takes it off, he right away puts a jacket on. So it's like, do you think that was Hugh Jackman, or was it like a stunt double?
I mean, I think my man is ripped, but I think they polished it up too. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean? Like,
I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if he really is like in shape, but like
yeah.
he's mentioned that before, how like preparing and training for that role was a pain in the ass, which is one of the reasons why he stopped playing the role.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's something there, but they definitely spent some of that VFX money to clean up those abs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Mike,
for the ladies.
Yeah, because it's definitely kind of like Arnold.
And for the guys.
Arnold
Well, yeah,
Schwarzenegger.
teach their own.
Because it's like you're getting older. Like things aren't going to look the way
Right.
they did.
Which
20
Wolverine movie
years
is it
ago.
where he pops out of the water and he swings his arms out?
I think
That
that's
seems like
Origins.
iconic.
just the
Origins.
Wolverine.
Origins. I don't think he'll ever be as ripped as he was in that one because that was insane.
Yeah.
Like that scene, I think anytime they do a Wolverine anything, Hugh Jackman, they showed that one scene of him coming out the water. And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, that guy is so shredded in that one. I don't know if he could ever
True.
do that again. I think just age, like Dean was saying, age just takes its toll.
Imagine what it takes. Like, it's a lot of work just to look average. To get to that, there's just no way. X-Men Supreme is saying, I bet the couch comes with kid pool. Thomas is saying, I would like to get a blind Al and Peter. That'd be awesome. Yes, blind Al would be incredible.
Maybe
let's
that's where the
see.
couch comes with. I could see
Yeah,
someone
maybe.
blind. That would be a better fit. Yeah.
That would be incredible. Alvin J is saying we need a Colossus. No doubt we need a Colossus. Maybe they're saving that for the the proper X-Men reboot that they're going to do. Bob Dylan is saying Artisan Nice Pool. Yeah, maybe actually with the golden guns. I could see it.
I love his
he's-
armor.
Yeah.
His like Deadpool outfit was a lot different.
It was
than
actually
all the
pretty
others.
sick.
Yeah, I like that.
Was he the only Deadpool that couldn't regenerate?
I think so.
That was funny.
Let's see. Bob Dylan is saying there are pics of Hugh greased up exactly like the final scene. It's Hugh. Okay, all right.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy is amazing at doing it at his age, at any age, but especially his age. Jason Nelson is saying totally hated that his previous co-star characters were not in the movie more. Yeah, because the plot was so thin, we could have used a little bit more of callbacks from, the previous films, but maybe they didn't want to get bogged down with the previous continuity because you are kind of theoretically getting MCU people and Fox people to kind of come together as one. So maybe that's one reason why they didn't go too deep into that.
Well, I think
Yeah, and
that
it is
Weasel guy-
Deadpool and Wolverine, not Deadpool 3, right? So we could always potentially say, those characters get another chance at it.
I think that Weasel guy, I forgot his name, but he actually has beef with Ryan Reynolds, and that's why he didn't come back.
Oh, yeah, that guy does. Yeah, I think there was something. I don't know the details, but I think that guy got like part of the Me Too or something like that.
Yeah, he got-
And
Yeah, I think he got
I think it
canceled.
came out because Ryan Reynolds kind of threw him under the bus or something. Or
Which guy
yeah,
is this?
they definitely. It was the guy that was his friend in the first, who was like the bartender.
Oh, that TJ Miller or whatever.
Yeah,
TJ
Yeah.
Miller, there you
Yeah,
go.
He's
there's-
got his
there's
own
something there.
issues, I heard, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
No
to
doubt
your
about
point, bringing all those other characters, right? Like we talked earlier, they already kind of struggled with the story as it was. Can you imagine them trying to shoehorn those guys back in too? It could have got messy.
Yeah, absolutely. Could have bogged things down for sure.
Yeah.
So, guys, with that, I think that kind of wraps up what we wanted to talk about today. I guess we'll just leave it with any final thoughts on the film. Any plans to go re-see it again? Do you want to take friends? Are you recommending it to people? Any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I had this is kind of my biggest thing with the movie, and this might keep us for a little bit, depending on how long we can talk about it. So bear with me. Deadpool, his Wolverine dies, and it's tearing his timeline or universe apart. So they bring Deadpool in, and they allude to his Wolverine being the Wolverine from the 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 one at the end
Of Logan, right?
of Logan,
Yeah.
because he tells Logan, "You die saving a girl." So the movie finishes, and Deadpool takes Wolverine back to his timeline to stabilize it. Right? So it's in terms of the movie now 2022 or 24. Sorry. What are we in?
24.
Yeah. Sorry. So now his timeline has two Wolverines. Because Wolverine doesn't die until like 2033 or some shit like that.
2029.
2029, thank you. So
But
his
in Deadpool's timeline, it already happened. So it's kind of
Yeah, that Friend's exactly right.
continuity.
Yeah, so if he takes him back to his time, Logan was already dead in his timeline. If that Logan that died, and this is confusing, if that Logan that died was in Deadpool's timeline, so Deadpool came from the future,
okay, because
essentially.
but that makes even less sense because if that storyline played out, then Xavier has already killed all the other X-Men. And how's he friends with the Colossus and Teenage Warhead and the Asian girl?
You're not wrong. This is where the Marvel universe is going.
Yeah.
And I think Dean, I think they can go ahead, Mike.
I would say this is the corners they're painting themselves into with tweaking with these multiverse so much is
I think at the end of the day, though, they could just hand wave and say, this is what's causing the incursions is people mess around with the timeline too often. And now all the rules are fucked up. And now, the worlds have to battle it out to figure out who's going to survive. So I think it's just going to be one more way that they broke the world, basically. Bob Dylan is saying Deadpool is from 10,005 Foxverse, but their final act makes them the new anchor beings, which stabilizes their timeline again. Totally not nonsensical at all. Makes a lot of sense. So Equan is saying, no, the timeline was stable before he brought the worst Wolverine to his timeline. At least that's what the TVA lady said. X-Men is saying...
No, but
go ahead.
They're in his universe when they stop... What's his face? When they stop Paradox. Because he brings that machine to Deadpool.
But the TVA exists outside of...
Right, but when they stop him and the TVA lady shows up, it's like, oh, you fixed your timeline. They're in his timeline right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
So Wolverine's already there when he fixes it. So it's like he brought the anchor. I don't know. I don't have all the answers.
Dean, if you can make sense of it, you're a smarter man than me because
not only that,
this has been my complaint for a while.
Not only that, but since that Logan or the Logan movie is part of the Deadpool universe, that means that X-23 is part of Deadpool's universe. So what the hell was she doing in the void?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why was she in the void if she's part of Deadpool's universe?
That's also a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess only that maybe
It's
that
also
universe
very-
got sucked into the void. sometime after he dug up Logan's body and before she shows up.
Because supposedly the joke is that all the people in the void are people when the Fox and Disney deal went down, they all got put in the void. But why is X-23 in the void if she's still part of Deadpool's world? You know what I mean?
I think Bob Dylan says it perfectly. Don't pull on that thread, Dean. It's the MCU, not Interstellar. Well said.
And even to
That's
Fern's
true.
point, if she was from his universe, why is she older?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, wouldn't if she come from the same time frame, so she would have still just been a kid?
Yeah, that's true.
Almost not even born, right? If that movie takes place in 2029, she's
Well,
only,
no,
what,
because Logan
8
was
or
dead,
9?
so that all those events happened, but she would have still, I don't know how old she was in that movie, 10, 12, right? She wouldn't have been much older than that. I don't know. We're trying too hard to make sense of it.
It's wild to watch the viewers drop off so quickly in real time the more we talk about this. So.
They talk
Go ahead,
about
Fern.
Logan. They talk about Logan and Deadpool 2. So if it happened before Deadpool 2, that means add 7 years to 2029. So technically Deadpool and Wolverine takes place in 2026, 2025.
So X-Men
I guess.
Supreme says Paradox said at the beginning of the movie that Logan dying affects the timeline forward and backward. Time isn't linear, so it doesn't matter. Which
Yeah, but didn't they
still
steal that
doesn't
from
make
the
sense
Flash
either
movie?
way.
I feel like that's the explanation that Michael
For,
Keaton gave
in
the
the
Flash, right? It
past.
goes both ways.
yeah, but
They're just making this up as they go. They'll fix it by the
Yes.
next movie.
Time is a flat circle, like a true detective said.
There you go. I will give a plug for like new rock stars and Screen Rant are ones that I like to watch, which I haven't done yet, but they do kind of like clear up a lot of these continuity errors or kind of like allude to like, oh, maybe this means this. So I need to obviously do a bit more homework and maybe some others on the panel if everyone is curious to learn more about it, or just say, it's a comic book movie and it kind of is what it is. Although I hate that phrase.
Right, but
Bob
if you
Dylan is
have-
saying, go ahead.
If you have to try this hard to understand it, maybe they need to do a better job, not us.
You know what I loved in the Flash. You just brought that up where Keaton is like, oh, it's like spaghetti. You throw it and just shit just kind of comes together. I'm like, actually, that's a perfect explanation. You
kinda
just
what they're
hand waved
doing.
it all. Yeah, it's just so goofy. Bob Dylan is saying, I heard Feige likes to go on Reddit and read all the continuity errors and pleasures himself upon a pile of money. You know what? It almost could be true to the X-Men and Fox universe though, because none of that had any continuity to begin with. So, it's just kind of staying true to where we've been. Equan is saying Deadpool 2 has cameos from all those young X-Men, including James McAvoy. It's true. It's true.
And they listen to the fans because even Deadpool mentions in one part, like, oh, we've been kind of dropping off since Endgame. So
yeah, they definitely pick on themselves for sure.
Right. When he
Also-
says, welcome to the MCU, you're coming in at a low point.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
I was shocked at how vulgar and violent the movie was, because I was like, for sure Disney's gonna pull some reins and Deadpool's gonna have to like joke on it. Like that could have been funny to see him try and tiptoe around everything. And they threw a couple fucks in there, and I was like, okay, that's probably it. We're probably not gonna get a whole lot more. And boy, they fucking
Like they went crazy with this.
I was like, holy shit, they got away with way
A lot of
way
fucks, a
more
lot of
than we
blood.
thought.
Today, and I don't know if it was accurate, and I'm just going to make up the numbers here, but it said something like the MCU has had the word fuck in it like 119 times. And it was the chart up there, and it was Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Deadpool Wolverine 118.
I think those are the exact numbers.
Is that it? So
I think so.
That's
they
hilarious.
did a great. I was happy to see how much they let them make fun of themselves in this movie. Like it's stuff like that, like coming in at a low point and things like that. It's refreshing. That they're willing to take the hits and they know what we're saying, and we'll see what they do with it. But I was pleasantly surprised with how much they got away with.
I think that's what's resonating with audiences so much, right? Is Deadpool just talking directly to the fans on everything that we're thinking. similar to when the first Deadpool came out. I think those Fox movies or the X-Men movies were kind of at a low point from what I recall. Actually, maybe Days of Future Past had just come out. But anyways, just to have that self-referential humor was just really big back then, and it feels like perfect timing to bring him back. So even if the movie was not as strong as we all were hoping, it's definitely spot on in terms of the tone. Thomas is saying, I liked when they use devil dandruff. That's, yeah. 14 Wellington saying the same thing. They couldn't make any references to cocaine in the movie, though. That was a pretty good ongoing bit. And Jason Nelson is saying, yeah, it was nice to see the language and violence and dick/butt/sex types of jokes stayed in. They didn't water it down at all, for sure. You could not accuse them of that. Any other bones to pick, timeline, continuity errors, overall thoughts before we end this thing?
I don't want to drag us out any longer either. Just to say real quick that, even what we all said about it kind of being really enjoyable, even the things that were wrong with it are making an enjoyable conversation. Maybe that was part of it, to say like, what, fuck it, just go nuts. No one's really gonna care. They're seeing Wolverine in yellow, and it's gonna be great. And again, not to make one final gripe again, because just this conversation in the chat being super hot about it is make me like the movie even more right now. Us talking about it with you guys, but for him being the worst Wolverine, it seemed like all he said he did was like he went to a bar, got drunk, and then all the X-Men died. I was like, how is this worse than the Old Man Logan Wolverine? Because that story is far more dark.
If that's all it takes, then I don't know what anyone's going to say about me.
Yeah.
So
what made him the worst was what he did after. He went on a killing rampage on a whole bunch of civilians.
Oh, okay. Did they say that? I must have missed that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone speculate that he was actually involved with killing the X-Men, and I was like, that couldn't be the case because that's not redeemable. But did someone think the same? Mike, you're kind of nodding your head.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he killed the X-Men, but it just dawned on me. Fern's right. He did make a comment at some point about what he did after. So yeah,
he's like,
yeah, Fern's right.
It's almost like the Anakin quote, not just the men, but the women and the children. He's like, I didn't just kill the bad guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I kind of like that. That's kind of like Kaiser Soze mafia style, kill the family and everyone related to them too. That's pretty dark. They could have maybe clarified that, because I think I kind of missed that. But I didn't see why they couldn't just make it like the Old Man Logan story, since they didn't really do that in the movies, and that story was pretty dark in itself. So, but again, just a minor, I didn't really get why he was so bad. It was like, instead of helping out, I went to a bar and then everyone was dead. I was like, well, what happened? What the fuck?
I have a really silly question, because the X-Men exist alongside all the other superheroes, right? Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, right? They're all in the same place. It's like, hey, Spider-Man, how'd you get your powers? Oh, I got bit by a spider. Oh, that's fucking cool. Logan, how'd you get your powers? I'm a mutant. You fucking dirty fucking piece of shit. Fuck the mutants. Why? Why is it some superheroes are like, oh, that's cool. You got a Captain America fucking serum? That's awesome.
Yeah, no, and that was always the driving storyline in the X-Men comics, right? They were looked at as freaks and outcasts, but Captain America, Spider-Man were heroes, right? And not to get too deep into it, right? But I mean, that's part of why I read them so much as a kid, right? I mean, to see that, I mean, they hit home with that generation. That's why I think they got big when comics blew up, because, at that time comics weren't cool, right? I mean, right. I don't know how old you guys are. I heard Chuck say the other night on one of the shows he was 42, which blew me away. But, coming up on 45 myself, comics weren't cool when I was into comics, so that's why the X-Men hit home so much, because they were the outcasts. They were the freaks. That's what the comic book readers were at the time, so that, and I think that's why I have such a love for Wolverine and the X-Men and stuff, growing up with that. But yeah, that's how they were always portrayed. They were,
it's like
they were the freaks.
Like, oh, they came for the X-Men, killed them all. It's like, Okay.
And it was
Why?
always a plot line with the other heroes too, right? And I think X-Men 97 touched on it a bit, right, with the Captain America episode. Like, when are you going to speak for us? You know, you get all
Right.
the love, we get all the hate. Do something about it. And they never kind of did. They kind of said,
Yeah.
well, you go over there and do your thing, and we're going to be the stars and the heroes.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I think too a lot of it, and it's so funny, dang, Mike. First of all, brother, I thought you were like these guys' age, like in your 30s. I would never have guessed coming up on 45. So
It's
whatever
the
you're doing,
lighting. It's the
keep
lighting.
keep it up, keep it up. If it's the booze too, I got to follow you.
Yeah.
Follow suit. But yeah, Dean, like the X-Men cartoon from the 90s really hits on it as well too. Like when any episodes that have these Friends of Humanity guys, which are this extremist group, they'll do a little something, Storm or Jubilee, and right away they're like, they're one of them, Mutie, they're one of the Muties, and it's like everyone's like, ugh, like, but you're exactly right.
Yeah.
I think there's even episodes where they speculate that Spider-Man could be a mutant because no one knows like his origin, and I think that's kind of part of the reason why other heroes like wear masks. The X-Men are just trying to live their everyday lives, but they're always like that. So if you're like Nightcrawler, well, you look fucking like Nightcrawler. So it's like you really can't, go sit down and have a burger at McDonald's because people are going to be like, what the fuck's up with that freak guy? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I think that's what makes The Boys such a good television show.
mm-hmm.
Is because they almost make it political. Like, there's some people that really love the superheroes, and then there's other people that are like, no, these people are fucking dangerous.
Right.
Like, if like they're heroes today, but they could flip the switch, kind of like with Batman and Superman. If he decides tomorrow he doesn't like us, what the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
when I watch or read the comics of Marvel, it's like that doesn't make any sense. It's like all these people love all these heroes, but all of a sudden the X-Men are, let's go kill them with pitchforks and torches.
Yeah. I always love what the William Hurt version of General Ross says to Cap, and I'm never one to be into Cap getting told anything, but when he tells Cap, "Do you know where Thor and the Hulk are?" He's like, "If I lost a 50 megaton warhead, I'd have a lot to account for to the people." And it's kind of like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense,
Yeah.
Nice pull, Chuck.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
All right. So, any additional thoughts? You guys have been doing great. I think we've had an awesome conversation. Fern, you've been quiet for a little bit. Anything else that you'd like to share about this film?
No, I mean, I think I don't know if you guys talked about it when I was gone, but did we didn't really talk about like we talked about like our favorite cameos and stuff like that, but we didn't talk about like our favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, tell us your favorite part. Go for it.
Um,
He's like, I can't think of one, but we didn't talk about it. So,
no, for me, one. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but for sure it was like the whole um the intro with the Logan, all he did with the bodies and the bones and the whole dancing and
so fucking good.
yeah, because I follow some guy on Instagram and he's like he does like dances and stuff like that, and he actually revealed just like a week ago that he was his dancing double. So that was him doing the dances. I was like, oh shit, I thought it was Ryan Reynolds doing all that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. The whole like things that he did with the bones and the claws and the dancing. It was awesome. It was a Deadpool. The movies always have the best openings. Like the first one had a
Yeah.
cool one, the second one had a really cool one, and they did the best one for the third one.
I was gonna say this might be the best of the three for sure.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part was when Deadpool and Wolverine escape on that like rocket leg
Mm.
and they like land somewhere random and Deadpool's just like talking and Wolverine's like shut the fuck up and like finally like because he's just been putting up with Deadpool the whole time and Wolverine finally like gets him to actually shut up and listen to him. I thought that was really cool. I like that dynamic of and then Deadpool's like, well, am I allowed to talk now? Like, it was just really funny. I like that a lot.
For me, I think that again, I didn't talk that much about X-23, but Daphne Keane I think did an excellent job. And any time that I can like feel a little bit alive in a movie, if you feel something, you know what I mean? Besides joy or sadness, and when it gets like the serious moment when she tells him, you were never the guy, you were never that guy. It's just such a Wolverine moment. Like he's this, I think I've heard him called like a warrior poet type, and it's just like a really awesome moment for her to tell him that, like, it doesn't matter that you think you're the worst one, like that you were never the right one, but you're kind of like what we got. And that to me was such like the essence of Wolverine. So for all the cool shit like that to me was like a little moment where it's like, this movie's deep.
Yeah, I would say my favorite part was probably just bringing back all of the Fox cast, like when they all get together in the whatever that was, the cave. That was just a really enjoyable part to me. Like we didn't talk about Elektra, but Elektra was also another great cameo that I had seen, tease, and yeah, perfect to bring her back. And the fact that again, they're saving plenty of cameos that they could have put into this that we're definitely getting in Secret Wars, so it felt like a little taste of what's to come. But Mike, what was your favorite part?
Um, you know, so just to go back to what Chuck said at the beginning, I feel like, at least myself, I feel like I've been negative about the film, but I don't want that to be the case. To Chuck's point, will I see it again? Yes, I actually wanted to try and go see it today, but I just ran out of time. Will I buy it? Absolutely. So it's a blast, and I will enjoy it every time I see it. Um, but for me, I think that my favorite part was just the on-screen dynamics between Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, we knew what we were getting, but to see them pull it off so perfectly was great, and to see Wolverine be Wolverine to his full extent, and not just with the violence, but with the attitude, and on full display, was just fantastic. Um, and just lastly, I would say, again, going back to where my heart belongs on those Fox films, that end credit scene when they played the Green Day and they showed all those behind the scene clips of the old Fox stuff, man, that got me. That got me good.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are actually like really good friends off screen really helped with the dynamic.
Yeah. And they didn't, right? They could have easily just came in and just shit on the Fox universe, right? They could have easily just tore it apart and say, you're not as good as us. But they didn't, right? They showed love to it. And that's what I say, go back to that end credit scene, when they showed, okay, you're gone, we killed you off, we're done with you, but we respect what you did because you laid the groundwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just want to double down on that and how incredible it is. We're living in a timeline where we got Sony properties, the Sony Spider-Man showing up in No Way Home, that we got the Fox, properties being integrated into the MCU. Like, it's pretty incredible to see films that, I grew up on, coming full circle. And then, like you said, the Green Day closing credits was, I definitely got emotional during that because it makes you think about, man, how much time has progressed since that stuff. Feels like yesterday you were just watching that. And yeah, it's pretty special for sure. Even if, the cameos don't always hit the highs you want them to hit, it's still really awesome that we're getting them regardless. Nicolio saying, same for an instantly iconic opening. Surprised by how rewatchable the movie was. Enjoyed listening to this chat. Appreciate you, Nicolio. Yeah, we had a really good time on here. So 14 Wellington is saying, my favorite part was realizing how terrible Channing Tatum looked in Gambit's costume. Totally dodged a bullet with that one. Especially during the time of when he would have played that character, it wouldn't have been successful. So it is just really surreal that we finally got him. And X-Men Supreme is saying, I do wish that Sabretooth had his teeth, though. That just felt wrong. Yeah. Yeah, Sabretooth felt a little wasted.
Need those fans.
There you go. And then Darth Tamaris is saying, just seeing this movie today, it was fire. Definitely my favorite of the 3 Deadpool movies. Although it left a little bit to be desired, it was a step up from Deadpool 2. I still think Logan is goated. Yeah, Logan is, I don't know, top 2 all-time comic book movies for me, probably. So, yeah, Logan is goated. And yeah, the Deadpool, like you said, Chuck, this isn't necessarily Deadpool 3, but if this is the end of the trilogy, still, a really good final movie. But I have a feeling he'll be back, and not just crossover movies, but we'll probably get a Deadpool 3 as well.
4.
Well, I think it would be Deadpool 3 probably, right? Because this is Deadpool and Wolverine, and I think there might be a Deadpool 3. Who knows,
I guess you're not wrong.
right?
I
So
felt like this was Deadpool 3, but yeah,
It-
you're right.
They would find a
Probably
way to
is.
call it something completely off the wall.
there you go, exactly.
Deadpool
Something
3,
self-referential. Oh boy. Any other thoughts at all? We got 29 in here. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, like I said, help CW's algorithm. They need more subscribers. You're at what, 25,000 now, 30,000. I lose track.
Any cameos you wish you would have seen from like old X-Men movies or Fox movies?
Cyclops for me. I want to see Cyclops back, and
Yeah.
they're bringing him back for sure.
Michael Fassbinder Magneto would have been for me.
Oh, that would have been cool.
A more comic accurate Rogue would have been nice to see.
Ooh, who do you cast?
Well, I mean, Anna Paquin's still pretty awesome, so I wouldn't mind seeing her, but maybe just in more of the authentic look, like the Gambit kind of
Yeah,
costume.
That would have been
That
nice.
could have been a little interaction between them would have been
Ooh, good
would have been
call.
pretty sweet.
Only because I'm a sucker for the character and the actress. I would have liked to see Magic from the that X-Men horror movie they did.
New
From the New
Mutants.
Mutants.
The New Mutants.
I think they're trying to forget that ever happened, but I actually
but-
enjoyed that. That was an enjoyable
I
film.
didn't hate
I won't lie
it.
to you.
Yeah, I didn't.
No,
I didn't mind it either.
No Taylor Swift as Dazzler. No one's
Someone-
pulling that one.
I wonder if it was ever in a cut of the film. I feel like they would never cut her out, but that there was some smoke there. There's something to it.
And the Reynolds family is pretty tight with her too, so
That's right. I
you
saw
gotta
them
think there
together at
was
the Super
least
Bowl.
conversations.
Exactly.
Someone was starting a rumor that Lady Pool was Taylor Swift, and I was like, that's gonna be
Yeah, I saw
fucking
that too.
hilarious if they do that. But they didn't. What about
I think
you,
the body
Fred?
was a little off. I think.
Yeah.
I feel the same as Marco. It would have been cool to see like Cyclops. I grew up a really big Cyclops fan. And they completely massacred him in the movie.
Yeah.
So that would have been cool to see that.
They
And it would have been
massacred him.
hilarious to see like a Ben Affleck Daredevil. And it was even funny how they even threw in that joke. They're like, oh, they killed Magneto, they killed Daredevil, and Deadpool's like, oh, Daredevil. Oh, I'm sorry. When he looked at Elektra, and she's like, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
I
Oh,
kind of
man.
thought when they mentioned when they kind of get surrounded in that one part in Cassandra's lair, and they had mentioned earlier that when the Punisher went in there, he had died. I thought we were going to maybe see like Thomas Jane on a roof, because remember in that one it was like PG-13. He didn't really get to be the Punisher.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to start sniping people, and I was like, oh man, I was ready to geek in a way that I hadn't
Whoa.
geeked yet. And it
What
didn't
what if
happen.
they what if they'd have done that with Dolph Lundgren instead?
Oh,
Doesn't even Deadpool
Dude.
Let's go way
Deadpool
back.
mention it? He's like, wait, which Punisher? Because there's like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like-
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. And then obviously Storm. We need Halle Berry Storm back. She will be back. Like she still looks so good. She's gonna pull off a very comic accurate outfit. I just foresee it happening for sure.
You're manifesting it.
No
That's
doubt.
right. We got to see it.
Marco, I want to say you've done a great job tonight, brother, leading the way here in lieu of Chris and Thomas, who we miss. And I
Oh,
totally
Captain,
thought
my captain.
I thought my first show movie night was going to be with those guys, and this is my first pod with you, Marco, and with you, Mike.
What a
So
letdown, though. But no, thank you for the kind words, Chuck.
This has been a great show. I have a lot to live up to tomorrow, and I'm covering this on my show. So, jeez, it's gonna be rough, but I'm gonna do my best. And sir, what you were saying earlier, real quick, Marco, about like how they could have easily shot on the Fox universe, and instead they paid homage, and you know the comment that we saw about Feige laughing about all the the screwed up timelines and not really caring. It's like when Vince McMahon bought out, his rival WCW, when he was with the WWF. It's like, dude, that's it. You vanquished your enemies. There's no need to, they could have gone that way, scorched earth on those motherfuckers, and they didn't. You know what I mean? They're like, no, we're gonna pay homage, to the Fox movies and those guys that laid the way. Again, Mike mentioned seeing Blade on opening night. I don't know if I saw it opening night, but I definitely saw it that first week because it was like the precursor to Spider-Man and the X-Men. So for me, it was like, whoa, Blade. I read about him in Midnight Suns. Like, they made a movie of him, and then it was rated R, and it was fucking excellent. It was like, I mean, it was just so damn good that I could not wait to see more comic book movies at that point, because we really hadn't had anything quote unquote good since probably like, well, shit, it would be like Batman '89 maybe at that time, I think. So yeah, it was really cool to see them do it this way. And of course, the Green Day song at the end, that was actually my class song in high school. That's how old I am. So that tying that to those scenes in those movies, when I thought that was the only Wolverine I'd ever see, was that black leather one, which I kind of always felt kind of meh about. So it'd be like, man, what a great send off.
And Feige started on the X-Men films, right? That's how he kind of
I
got his
believe
start.
he did. Yeah, I
He
think his name is on
he
there.
started. I don't know what role he had, but he worked on the original Superman movie,
Okay.
the '78 Christopher Reeve. So I mean, he's had his fingers in this superhero world of movies forever.
Yeah.
Since before I was born, which says a
Cassandra
lot.
Nova style. But
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I didn't realize he
Maybe
was
that's where he
around
got
that
it
long.
from.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Guys, please no
Yeah.
more fingers in references, please.
Oh gosh.
Chuck's been standing this whole time.
That's
He
right.
can't sit down.
Holy God. So Chuck, you were alluding to just another Friday night. You guys are going to cover this tomorrow as well. So tell us about what's coming up then.
Yeah, so it'll be me and of course my podcast partner Double A talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. And right now there's a potential for my nephew, who's been a guest with me before, to be on the show as well. CM Cal. He's 11, and I did take him to a rated R movie, but I saw Predator and rated R movies when I was his age, so it turned out fairly okay. So, and the theater didn't say shit. Like, they didn't try to stop us or idea. They're just like, yeah, you're buying a kid a ticket for Deadpool. I'm like, this is rated R, right? So if he gets to come on, I think it'll be an interesting perspective to have his thoughts on it, because again, he's 11 and he didn't care about timelines and shit. He just loved seeing Wolverine and Deadpool on screen, and he's more of a Deadpool guy. So for him to hear him saying, having some interest in Wolverine is a big deal for me, because Wolverine's my number one Marvel guy. So yeah, if we get together, if he does end up coming on with us, we'll have that perspective. But otherwise, we're gonna just try to chop it up as much as I did with you guys, and talk about those opinions.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. And what time is it at again?
Thank you. We're gonna try for 7 p.m. Central Time, but we flex a little bit. So as Marco
You're on
said,
that
life
brown
gets in the
time, huh?
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
big time, brother. So it's tough sometimes.
All good. You gotta do it when you can. Absolutely. Well, Chuck, thank you so much for joining. And Dean, what's coming up on CW this weekend into next week?
Nothing. We're off. Billy Badfish has a toy show that he's doing, so we're not doing our Baldur's Gate stream on Saturday. So Zach and I will be off. I'm sure Zach will probably be streaming football. He's been playing the NCAA game.
I think tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific. That would be 1 o'clock Eastern. Is that right? Am I doing the math right?
I think so. I think he
streaming his
posted it
Dynasty.
as like lunchtime.
Yeah,
But I'm not
so
sure
that'll
what time.
be. I think he said it's the championship game, so if you want to tune in for that. And let's see. Yeah, we don't have anything Monday, so Tuesday will be the main show with Marco and me and Ben, Eddie, and Zach, and then After Dark on Wednesday, and then we're back to Thursday. So
Okay, boom. Just like that. Time is a flat circle.
yeah,
Well, Dean, really, really appreciate you joining. Shout out to Zach, the Oxfather. I wouldn't be shocked if there was a part two. To Fern's point, we kind of left a lot of meat on the bone. We talked about a lot of stuff, but I think there's plenty more to delve into when it comes to this film. And I know Zach wants to do it. So yeah, don't be shocked if you see a Deadpool spoiler chat. Obviously just another Friday night tomorrow, and then maybe Zach will do one in the future. So plenty more Deadpool talk on the way. If you're still here, if you wouldn't mind again hitting that like button, subscribing to Collecting Weekly. And I just wanted to thank Fern and Mike. And Mike, how was your first stream experience?
It was great, man. I thank you. I can't thank you enough. When talking with Zach and when I saw him, pinging with Fern about wanting to talk about Deadpool, I didn't realize it was going to be a stream, but I chimed in and said, I have some things I want to say about this. So I really appreciate getting the chance, man. This was awesome. And hopefully we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Would love to see you on the channel more often. And you got duped. You didn't know what you were signing yourself up for, but yeah, you crushed
Not
it
the first
tonight.
time.
So.
It's all
Yeah,
good.
you killed it, Mike.
Of course.
You killed it, bro. We got to get
Appreciate
you on
it,
After
guys.
Dark,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
After
you.
Dark and Just Another Friday Night.
There we go.
No joke, dude. His camera quality, his mic quality. Look at his
know.
display behind him. This
Wow.
dude was made for
I mean,
streaming.
it's
Yeah.
I'm literally
Face.
I'll have to send you guys a picture. I sent one to Badfish of the setup, the behind the scenes. It's kind of ridiculous, but it made it work.
Came together perfectly. So
Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everyone again for watching us tonight. If you enjoyed it, also just let us know what you thought of the movie down in the comments below. And we'll catch you all on the next CW movie night with the proper hosts next time. So hopefully we made them proud. And everyone have a great weekend. Okay, Dean, take us out. Sorry, I fucked that up.
I was just gonna say bye.